Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, the head volleyball coach of the University of Nebraska.
Let's give John a hand.
Well, this is a dream come true for me.
Into the middle, Livingston. This could be it. Set to Lekowski. And she puts it away. Nebraska has made history.
And we are still at championship point for the Huskers. Holloway to Jordan Larson. It's over. On the overpass, jousted the net, comes across to Texas. Prieto Cerame off the tips. Hunter to Kelsey Feed. The Huskers winning at home for their 4th national championship.
Nebraska has been passing the ball perfectly all night long for head coach John Cook. They need one more play.
Zeki. Zeki again for the win.
So thank you very much. There's no place like Nebraska.
Good morning. Welcome in to Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. There is no place like Nebraska, DB.
No, I once used that line.
Yeah?
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. That happened to be about a 65-yard run ripped off by my man Jack Hoffman. But
Yeah.
there is no place like Nebraska.
There is no place like Nebraska.
Yeah, I completely agree. A couple of other places I've been around the country with quick, brief pit stops where I was maybe entertained, but
You like Charlotte?
Yes, they were all very similar
Yeah.
to Nebraska.
Omaha?
I like lots of places in Nebraska.
You do. You're more well-traveled in the state than I am.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of engagements. I'll be in Fairfield on the 22nd.
We know Nebraska City's your second home.
Yes, it is. I have some more heads coming too.
Our little stand-up heads here.
Yeah. Do you know why? There's always a theme. This one's probably too easy for you today, but would you like to guess why these two gentlemen?
Well, so we have Sharpie.
Yes.
And they just named the radio booth for him.
Correct. That is correct.
So that's one.
Yes.
And then Mr. Dannon pulled off maybe the smoothest coaching search in history.
Incredible.
I can't even believe it.
It's incredible.
And not a peep.
Nope.
Not a single word.
Nope.
There are no leaks in that ship.
Nope. He there's lots. We'll take some time to wax poetic about what he's done in some other sports behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Some other time when Nebraska football makes their announcements, but I still can't believe it. Because here's the thing, and I was joking with the mayor. I go, hey, no 2 week to post the job, no.
Stothard or Joel?
No, the real mayor, Joel.
Okay.
My man, Shafe. And I said, no fake Rooney rules. Like, just get it done, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, it's a public job. It's got to be posted for 2 weeks. How many times have you heard that?
But I still think we don't understand how quickly and first of all, to have two schools be on board with something is
that might be the most shocking part of this all.
It's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, that Louisville played was so cooperative.
Number two, you keep everybody's favorite in Reyes, and so many times this happens. I always ask myself, who would I was just talking about some job situations the other day, and I was like, well, who would I work for and who wouldn't I? And, my buddy was like, oh, you wouldn't take it back. And I was like, yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. It's like, if he wanted me to do something on the side, like, I would take a backseat to this person and this person, because I don't really look at it as backseat. Like, I just get the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah, work with somebody you like and respect.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's
a different thing.
Like, I feel like I was just explaining that concept to Bill the other day. Right, where there's something anyway. So I think behind the scenes for the last handful of years, people that are at practice, people that cover this deal. I mean, we should probably talk to Arneal. He's probably the foremost expert, I think, in volleyball. I like Abby Barmore. She's pretty good. But like, I think Reyes, this consternation, especially with Larson leaving, everybody, like, all these things were out, these things were out there, right?
Yeah.
We had guys in our stream, hey, you know, you need to ask such and such and such and such about this and this and this. I think we can put that part to bed.
Yeah.
But Reyes was kind of the guy that was quietly gets a lot of the run. In the volleyball world, like Nebraska fans, like, they love Coach Reyes. I talk about his pressers on Husker Sports Nightly, like
his recruiting prowess is, I mean,
it's legendary, right? Well, that may be too strong. It's just really, really, really. I mean, he's the man.
Yeah.
And you not only get his deal done, big game. She's big game Hunter.
Kelly Hunter
is
in, as well.
Is in, and you get a coach. I just was trying to, like, how many times can you replace at the collegiate level? And there are a few examples. I don't know about volleyball, but a handful in basketball. There's a handful in football.
Yep.
Where you get this kind of transition, this quiet, with this quality of coaches changing seats.
Yeah, so it's the quiet part that almost never happens, right? Because the one that comes to mind, we're going other sports here, the best one that comes to mind is Roy Williams to Bill Self.
Correct.
Just, you go at Kansas, you're in great shape. You go from great coach, he leaves for North Carolina, goes home. Bill Self comes in, takes the program really to the next level, because Roy Williams didn't win any championships there.
Although the thing with Self is, I'm not gonna fight you over it. I think DBK
higher profile
may
right now,
be held in higher regard than Self was.
100% agree.
Coming from his job.
Because we forget that Bruce Weber took that Illinois team to the final. Now it was a lot of Bill Self's guys, right? But that was a Bruce Weber team technically. It was sort of like, what's the guy's name? The Miami coach before Coker. The guy that got it rolling again.
Oh, Butch?
Yeah, Butch Davis, right? So, like, Butch Davis didn't win any championships in Florida, but that was his team in 01, right? That's how Illinois kind of was with Self and Weber. Self didn't actually get any of the accolades that he earned at Illinois because Weber took over when he left for Kansas and reaped the benefits of it, right? That's sort of how Self was. So I would agree with you. DBK, higher regard currently at her current job than Bill Self was. It's hard to find a corollary that's that good, or that is this.
I wonder how I don't with Coach Cook because he's so strategic. But how do you get all the contracts done?
I mean, this had to have been in the plan where it works for a while.
100%.
And how many times did we ask this year? John Cook seems different, right? How many times have we asked that question?
Yeah.
John Cook seems a little different.
Say this, yeah.
He
does.
And I'm like, he seems looser. He seems more like at peace with himself. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's known for a while, like, this is my last run. It felt like a guy that was trying to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, in retrospect,
the TikToks.
The TikToks and the cowboy thing and like, it felt like this was a guy who knew this was his last ride. And he was going to soak up and enjoy every second of it, which I really appreciate, right? Because there's a lot of highly competitive people would be like, oh, this is the last ride. I have to squeeze every.
They'd still be president of the No Fun Police.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, I got to squeeze every ounce I can out of this team, and it's a national championship or bust. And that's not to say they obviously didn't want to win a national championship, but it felt like a guy that understood his resume and was like, I can enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to give myself that latitude to enjoy this. And I'm glad he did. Like, he's earned it more than anyone probably.
Yeah.
Like, he's earned the right to be like, hey, I'm going to enjoy my team. I'm going to enjoy this last ride at Nebraska. And he did seem different all year. We didn't know quite what it was. Now it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It gives you, it's quiet confidence. And I know. I had two of my guys last night. We can't even get a special teams coach named in football, and here Cook. I'm like, listen, hold on.
I think it's going to be okay.
I do.
I'm not super worried about it.
I do. But I do get the optics.
I do too.
I do get the optics. I think he made a legit.
Because the optics of the volleyball thing are like the most buttoned up thing we've ever seen in our lives.
Yeah.
Versus the football thing where it's like, we kind of just let the old guys' contract expire.
And you got the assistants
all locked up. That's what I mean. Like, it's not just from Cook to Busboom Kelly, right?
Yeah. So
it's also Reyes is locked up, Hunter's locked up. The Jordan Larson thing got resolved before we even knew any of this was happening. Like, it was just done. It was like, hey, we're going to drop this at 4:30 on a Wednesday, and by 5 o'clock, it's all wrapped up.
Yep.
Pretty little bow on top.
We know she's speaking on the 6th.
We know that there's a presser today for Cook, a little celebration.
And meanwhile, he's getting booths renamed and dedicated. So I mean, we had to go with TD.
100%.
And Sharpie.
I'm not sure we appreciate how good of a job Troy Dannon's been doing.
Yeah.
Like, is that
he's
fair?
He's
pretty quiet.
He
moves
aggressive. He moves fast.
That's fine.
Doesn't need a lot of fanfare.
And I'm not going to do
very good on emails.
So
some funny stories.
I'm not going to do the Trev versus Troy thing, but the way they operate are very different.
Yeah.
Trev is much more in front of everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like he seems comfortable. I'm not going to say he relishes it, but he seems more comfortable out in front. And Troy seems very comfortable just kind of operating like the G in lasagna, in silence.
Yeah. I don't know. It's impressive. It is really, really impressive. And I think and Kobe's right in the stream, you could easily make the case, and I'd have to ask TP, I think Coach, but I think he would agree. You make the case that DBK comes with better credentials
than Cook did when he was hired?
Than Cook coming from whiskey.
I think you could easily make that case.
I mean, you just don't see a program. I mean, this is widely regarded as the best program at the university.
Yeah. And it's widely regarded as the best volleyball program in the country.
It's up there.
I mean,
yeah.
People could argue with you.
It's up there. Yeah.
But it's probably,
I wouldn't.
It's probably a matter of preference at this point, right? Like, there's no real argument against it.
Yeah. So I think the fact that DBK had already worked out the buyout being non-existent if Nebraska was involved was incredible.
Yeah.
And in Louisville, it's not like, and I get it, right? The program wasn't where the heights that it is now. But why would they have to relent to her?
Because she's that good.
They didn't know that then.
Well, not the first time.
You're talking about the runaround,
the extension that they did
so
at that
Louisville,
point.
pre-Tennessee, post Louisville,
yes,
post Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's like, well, hey, I'll do this for you guys.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna win here. And I'm gonna blow this program up. But if this school comes a knocking, and that's not, I don't think that's out of the ordinary for some other.
We've heard about it.
Profile sports.
Yeah.
Volleyball, that's incredible. Where there's this one school in this sport that, you guys are gonna have to concede.
You've heard about it in some other, like in college football.
Yeah,
there was the famous Urban Meyer with, there's no buyout for Notre Dame. Yeah. There's no buyout, right? Like you had.
Well, look at the one that Belichick just worked with Carolina.
Yeah,
$100K before June 1 if he took an NFL job.
Yep.
And Carolina's like, oh, okay.
But what else is Carolina going to do in that spot?
No,
nothing. Like that's the.
What if they win?
But Belichick had at least way more leverage than DBK did at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like obviously she does now.
She's gonna be playing for natties.
Yeah. You didn't know you'd had 2 national runners up in 3 years, right? Like she's got the juice now. But
you got the juice now, man. You probably have never seen that show.
What show is that?
Never mind. You'll think it's Menace to Society.
Is it Boys in the Hood?
No.
Is it Lean on Me?
This one's easy. It's simply called Juice.
Oh.
Easy to remember.
Like OJ?
Sure.
Selfish.
He was called the Juice, right?
Yeah. R.I.P.
Was it worth the squeeze?
Depends on who you have.
No.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I heard the glove didn't fit.
So we're going to. By the way, nice mittens yesterday.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't know.
Those are from our Glow Big Red friends.
Are they going to keep me warm?
I don't know. We'll have to try them on.
I can't use those in the booth.
But you remember the $75 donations I talked about, the mittens? Those are the mittens.
Yeah, I like.
We're going to bring them in next time so that I can show on the camera when we're. Do you have them?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah, for our Glow Big Red friends.
Glow Big Red.
This is a freebie for them, but that's okay. You get February 12th and 13th, the Glow Big Red giving event. You give $75, you get a free pair of those lovely Nebraska mittens.
How about that?
How about that?
Hey, and I told you I have some new heads coming tomorrow.
Some little cutouts?
Yes, I think you're gonna.
Who do we have?
I'm not telling.
I don't. See, I like surprises, but I like knowing.
It's like 12 more. I looked at all my pictures because every time I go, I take a picture of who's in the audience.
Yeah.
And he can do just about anything.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. He's very creative.
Okay.
So we'll be talking about something, and then I'll come on Thursday. And weird, it's like that.
He's got it.
Yeah. I mean, again, dude had Phil Snow in attendance.
I like it.
Yeah. So he, it's yeah. So I'm pretty excited.
He stays on it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
He's
I might have to go hang out with you in Nebraska City sometime.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's fun.
They seem like a good crew.
It's a really good crew.
I-
Really good crew.
I appreciate that. It seems like a fun time. You seem like you enjoy yourself.
It's like the only thing that I'm pot committed to that's not Big Red Wrap Up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your crew out there?
Yeah. And like Gavin and Mika, those guys those are my people at Public Media.
Yeah. Well, for sure, Big
No, Gavin's a stud.
It's not because of Severe.
Well, I had to go through two hosts.
That's true.
It was K2
That's right.
and now Apostrophe.
That's right.
So yeah, but I like both those guys. Those guys help me start. So
I mean, I know you like Kugler. I don't know about Severe some days.
No, that's my dude. He wants me to sign this form for him. I don't know how I'm supposed to get it back to him.
What form?
It's not an e-doc. He texts me. He's like, "Hey, can you fill this out and get it back to me?" Get it back to you how? Like just put the piece of paper in your hand, like print it out.
Maybe like old school.
I don't know if he knows that it's not an e-doc.
You gotta maybe print it out. You can take a picture with your cell phone and send the picture back to him.
Oh, I suppose I could do that.
Yeah. I mean, you still have to print it out, which sucks. But
yeah.
When somebody needs me to print something out, the chances of it happening just drop off a cliff.
Yeah.
You go from we've
had the same non-ink filled printer at our house for
years.
Yeah.
You should be able to just. Wow, that sounds pretty good today. You should be able to just sign the picture.
Who sounds pretty good?
Me.
It's not a picture; it's a picture.
Yeah, you should be able to just sign it.
Like Greg Maddox, like the pitcher.
The picture on the phone. You should be able to just sign it.
Well, like his 8-ounce baby beers that he drinks.
He's proportional.
His 4-ounce flight of Miller Lite. Did you know they make flights that small, Shane?
Sometimes you just need a little bit.
Speaking of flights, man.
And that's totally on me.
How does that happen?
I don't know, but what happened? This is terrible, and I know people get mad at this when they're watching something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mean to be insensitive, but it was on So I was on Summit League. I was on Summit League Network, which has an affiliate.
Yeah.
Well, that affiliate has lots of channels.
Sure.
That I can peruse. Every one of them was covering the air.
The crash between the passenger plane and the helicopter.
Yeah. And why is it that the last handful of years there's been so many close calls?
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine there's some miscommunications we're having.
I have to go to Chicago tomorrow night for
the Buckus.
Yeah.
With Christian?
Yeah, the dinner's on Saturday. I'm a representative. So I'm going with our athletic director.
What does a representative what does that mean in this context?
As a member of the staff.
Okay.
Traveling, Coach Amanji's condition is a little. So we're going, and I'm gonna be sitting in the runway because I haven't flown commercial in forever. Just knock it off.
I didn't say anything.
And I think I might be nervous.
Yeah.
Kinda.
I'm not a good person to talk to. I don't like flying. So.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, no, I hate it.
Oh, it's fine.
I'm not a fan.
And it's just Chicago.
I'll drive to Chicago. When we go to Chicago, we drive.
Oh, gosh, that sounds miserable.
Well, it's because you like driving with me so much.
Dude, now that is miserable. That is definitely miserable.
Yeah, no, I don't like flying.
Yeah. So just a quick.
It's not for me. It's not a bad. Chicago to Omaha is not a bad flight though. It's like what, an hour in the air basically.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
in and out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where communication has kind of been at a minimum. I did finally catch wind of
From
what
CJ?
I'm supposed to wear. No, Kirkman.
No,
Tom is tough on me. I'm on a need-to-know basis.
you do kind of need to know what you're gonna wear.
No, but
That's important.
He did offer to take me to the airport. He'll leave his vehicle there, so I'm okay with that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, like a 6:10 flight maybe or something.
AM?
No, PM.
Oh, that's not bad then.
No.
AM's a little aggressive.
No, it's only because Miss James did the flights. If TK did it, we'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the brains.
Well, that's important.
Clearly the brains.
Clearly
the brains. Yes. No, see, don't even get me started. It'd be a slow unravel. AJ's so good at her job. Coach Lamanzi he acknowledged her during our team banquet.
Really?
Yeah. That's how you know somebody's pretty good at what they do.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
No. So I'll get there safely.
I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Now, apparently all these people aren't a fan of flying anymore.
Yeah, I don't like flying, man.
Hey, my man, his ears must have been burning because I was talking about him in our staff meeting yesterday. Hey, Mike D. Well, I'm Mike D, and I get respect. He doesn't like Ravi's mic.
Yeah, I've had several comments. It sounds like
Pretty
I'm
good in my headphones.
talking in a closet. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
You need to get some of that hair out of the way. Do that.
Like this?
No, I'm talking about that.
Oh, hold on. Let me.
Look like you got Mr. T in a headlock. Yeah, do that. See what Mike D says.
There. Is that better, guys? Probably not. Steven, our well actually guy, of course.
Yeah.
This is Damon.
Yes.
You realize it is the first air event in 16 years. I think the odds are in your favor.
Well, actually,
That is kind of a actually.
No, it really is. Like that's
There's the
Steven, you realize like the fear of flying is not a rational thing, right? And not even that you're afraid of flying.
Yeah, because I'm not.
Because you do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's just a different circumstance, right?
Right.
Which you don't love when things.
And I can't imagine there's going to be a ton of people leaving Omaha tomorrow night. It's not a
No, it's not a
ridiculously
really
busy-
big travel weekend or anything.
busy airport.
No, I don't think so. I don't know what's happening with the microphone.
Yeah, so we're gonna shout out these two guys, and we get Sharpie's ace at 8 today too.
Yeah, we got our guy Benny Mac, not Bernie Mac.
I started to maybe take notes so we could stay on schedule, but then I was like,
Nah, that's not gonna happen.
let it ride.
He'll join us at 8. Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider, joins us at 8:45, and Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7 joins us at.
We could double dip in baseball a little bit.
Ooh, lots of baseball today.
Talking baseball.
I talked baseball yesterday with you.
After all your ridiculous hot takes yesterday in baseball,
It wasn't a hot take.
I do like your spending ideas.
You got to spend money.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Don't get me started on Hank Steinbrenner complaining now.
I can't spend money like the Dodgers in New York.
I'm pretty sure you can, Hank. Your franchise is worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 billion. I think you're going to be okay. More of that Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back.
Well, I'm Mike D and I give respect.
Shane, can you check with Sasha on the mic?
Sam Smith. Shane, can you check with Sam Smith?
I understand that, but everybody on the thing is.
not how I meant to say it.
No, I know, but that's exactly how it sounded.
What happened?
Hot mic. Hot mic.
We will be back.
Well, that was hooked up.
I mean, I unplugged all this stuff. None of this should be hot.
We will be back.
I unplugged all this stuff. It shouldn't be a problem. Is it still hot?
We will be back.
Stream is still saying the mics are hot. Shane, I'm not muted on here. I don't think you've got me muted.
We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're here on the Pillar Exterior Stage. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, and reminding you to keep your eyes focused and straight ahead while on the roads this morning. Your job as the driver is to drive. Do not get distracted. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hey, and if any coaches call Shane again, just make sure the mics aren't off. Kill him. Kill the mic.
Kill a Mike?
Yeah. Mike D.
Mike D?
All I said was hello. Hello.
That's a different.
Those
are different
and
mics.
And I think that Mike D is still with us.
Is Killer Mike dead?
Killer Mike? Who's Killer Mike?
Isn't that a rapper?
You talking about I think Killer Mike, yeah, but we lost him.
Did we?
In like 21 or 22. Didn't we?
I don't think so. He seems to be alive.
ATL Killer Mike? that had the hot takes during COVID?
Yeah, this guy here?
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad he's with us.
Yeah.
I didn't want to off anybody.
He's still alive.
I was talking about Beastie Boys, Mike D.
Yeah, no, I know who Mike D is.
But I think that
Killer Mike.
I think that Mike D. No, you said.
Wait, so Mike D's gone?
You said Killer Mike. I didn't bring up Killer Mike. Knock it off.
I said kill the Mike, and you said Killer Mike. Wait, so Mike D's dead?
I don't know.
All right, we're going to check.
I'm not going to ask you to Google. Take another 55 minutes.
Mike D is still with us.
Yeah, we lost one of the Beastie Boys, but it's not him.
All the Mikes still alive.
and hot.
Except ours. Ours are only hot when they're supposed to be, apparently. We'll see. Guys, do I sound better in the stream? Do I sound like I'm not in a tin can anymore?
So that's what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't muted.
Yeah, that's the
good job, Shane. Props to you.
We're on it today.
No, because Shane takes that stuff super personal. So if the longer you stay on him, the more pissed he'll be.
I didn't say that.
We've been too nice to him lately. I mean, he could take some guff. We get it all the time.
Some guff.
Yeah, that's what you.
People were out here. I'm taking it personally because
the first time I heard somebody say guff, it was not me. So I got that from someplace else, and I asked what it meant.
I think my mom used to say it.
Yeah, so
I think it's like an older generation.
Do you know who said it to me?
Who?
He said he's not going to take any guff off of me, and he needs me to understand that right now.
Tom Osborne.
Bill Olson.
That was close.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much eye to eye.
Coach, I figured it was.
Chest to chest. You will run that ground ball out.
Yeah.
Do we understand? Yep.
You just out here not running out ground balls, DB? Come on, man.
We do now. Can I sew these buttons back on you? One's a little loose from being grabbed.
Not taking no guff.
Yeah. Old. I was 15, man.
Yeah.
And an idiot.
Well.
Good morning again.
It's fine.
No comment.
Yeah. Yeah. 50 and still, it's fine.
No, I would never.
Listen.
I was gonna say you've learned a lot since then.
I don't think
I bet you round out every ground ball now. Maybe not anymore, but in softball, I bet you did.
Yeah. No, I didn't hit the ball on the ground too much.
You hustler?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle?
Not a Pete Rose guy. R.I.P.
I'm not either.
I gotta be slow on the RIPs because
he is dead.
No,
yeah. You saying he doesn't deserve the P part?
No. Hey, by the way, so I wanted to go to college hoops real quick.
Yeah.
Because you had to appreciate your boy watching men's and women's basketball at the same time.
Who, you or DeMarinis?
So the only reason I knew the announcer kept saying what Maddie was upset with, is because I was hearing the exact same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's driving me up the wall. But anyway, because now I'm fascinated. Can I just tell you this? I'm fascinated over the last 4 or 5 years at how good Molly is.
Mogensen?
No.
Morgan Molly.
Yes.
Okay.
And I watch a ton, right? And what did I ask you the other day? I'm like, have you ever seen somebody that has gotten buckets that long at that kind of level that is almost never squared to the hoop?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
With her jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah, because her feet are always kind of
and so
crooked.
And we were going through like mechanics of shooting and this, that, and the other. And so it's just weird because this was on the heels. Well, I wanted to see Georgetown, obviously. I wanted to watch, but this was on the heels of Ariema being upset and his presser, again, big press conference guy, that the Big East doesn't get more run. He said, hey, it's not just UConn and a couple of other teams. Clearly, if you watch Creighton, this is a really good basketball team.
Yeah.
So I just was trying to see if he was just I'm just basically like, all right, I'm going to watch these guys top to bottom because the bottom of the conference does have to get better. There's no question about that. But as does, the depth. And I walked out of here the other day and I go, how come we're not seeing any upsets in women's college basketball? You just never see any upsets. And, of course, you rolled your eyes because you won't really pay attention, and I was, and I just was looking for a few upsets. But anyway. So I was watching it at the same time. While I was disappointed that I picked Rutgers as my game, and I was like, I wonder why this line went from 7 to 7.5 to 8 to 8.5 to 9.5. I was like, participation. Who's not participating?
And then we found out.
Yeah.
Harper Jr.
No Harper Jr. And as it was like 13-4, I was like, I am not about to start some skid. You better get it together, Rutgers. You hear me? And then Ace Bailey was like, DB.
I got you. What'd that number close at?
9.5, maybe.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. Do you watch Texas?
Men's?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
is Texas good?
I can't decide.
They don't win a lot of these games where they take these teams to the wire.
I can't
all
decide.
the time. They ran down A&M the other day, and I was like, you watched that comeback, right? It's 22 points.
Yep.
And I don't know why I watch them except for
morbid curiosity.
No, because they always get decent numbers.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, they're tricky. Like, I look at, I'm obviously trying to find what I want to get. And I flirt with Texas all the time.
Really?
Like, they're tricky. And, of course,
like
I watch
their
them
metrics are pretty good?
They're not bad.
Yeah. Compared to what their lines end up being.
And I certainly don't like Ole Miss.
No, I don't either. I don't know if it's I don't love Chris Beard. So I don't know if it's a Chris Beard thing or.
You don't?
Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of which,
it's not so much
his former school. Now that's now I think they're pretty good.
I do too. I think Texas Tech's pretty good.
I like check them out as we get ready for this March Madness that's going to happen in this rollout. Like you start to be on your homework now.
I do think Texas Tech is pretty good. I don't think it's a coaching acumen thing with Beard. I just stylistically, it's not my preferred. I also, I do want to, I was watching some SEC last night, a little Alabama, Mississippi State.
Yeah.
I know I took a little guff, as you say, about my Mark Sears take. Pretty good last night.
No, he's really good.
Pretty good
I think so. Young Jakob, he kind of picked the low hanging fruit.
Yeah, they got benched in the game the other day,
and he did just he is a weird case study.
Sears?
Older guy, really, really good. Sometimes does his own thing, but he plays for a very strong-minded coach. He sat him last night. He sat him for a half, and was like, "Hey, I want to go with the guys that gave us a
lot of turnovers. A lot of turnovers last night,
but and he's been
kind of hot and cold.
Yeah, kind of up and down. But that's a good team.
Here's my point with Sears, though, and I mentioned Grant Nelson too. I like Grant Nelson. Youngblood had a great night last night. The South Florida transfer?
Yeah.
He shot the ball super well, which if you can get that out of him, that's huge. But not consistently, but if you can get some shooting out of him consistently, you're not going to get 7 for 10 every night. But my point with Mark Sears was this, and I was kind of going back
kind of like Creighton going 8 of 10 in the second half.
Yeah, that's probably they made 7 in a row at one point.
Well, the last 5 made field goals.
Yeah,
were threes.
Yeah,
it was 69-67, and then Neal got the 2 or 3, and then Trout got 2, and it's like, no, I think Ashworth snuck one in there in between.
Yeah, I think it was 2 for Neal, 1 for Ashworth, 2 for Trout.
I'm like, wow, if you guys like Xavier, you just got that happened in about 80 seconds where that ATS went.
It was like, oh, hey, where'd that go? But no, here was my point with, and we can get to this in the next segment. Think about teams that have won national championships. Think about the type of guys that are on those teams, the type of guys that lead those teams. Try and think of, and I know Broom is really good at Auburn, right? But it's like 6'10", right? Bigger guy.
Yeah.
How many times has a guy that size been the dude on a national championship winning team? Just think about that for a second.
Well, 2 come to mind.
We'll get to it. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. And we are getting into some college basketball. You know, it's getting that time of year. The calendar turns to February here in a couple days.
February what?
February.
Oh, you're a library guy?
No, not library. Library.
It's February.
You don't say the R in
February.
February.
Wait, what?
February. You don't say the R.
Apparently not.
Somebody help me out here. You don't say the R in February. You say the R in library. You don't say the R.
Don't ask Kobe because he's mad that you called Hal Hank.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what you think.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
By the way, according to Wicca Wyatt, Wicca Asian Wyatt, Mike D's still alive. Adam Yauch, a.k.a. MCA, is no longer with us. I knew they lost one of the Beastie
R.I.P.
Boys.
We lost one of the Beastie Boys. But we were talking about college basketball and what type of.
MCA,
You good?
Yeah.
You Mike D. You get respect.
Yes.
Do you get more or less respect than Mike Delaware?
Probably less.
That sounds like a fake name, right?
Yeah. And he's kind of like a cartoon character to begin with.
He's like a caricature.
Man, dude is funny. That's all I know.
I like Mike D.
That dude is
I kind of like the whole crew. Right? I like the whole NBNR crew.
Now we can't say we said a lot of nice things about them in our staff meeting yesterday.
Oh yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah.
No.
Does it bother you when people use other peers as
examples?
Yeah.
No. Because
No.
there's definitely stuff we can do better.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
And it gives me a visual.
Right.
Like, I don't
Right.
like abstract, like,
Right.
oh, we should make it look better. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Give me an example.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, we'd like to have, multiple cameras, whatever. It's like, oh, okay, I get what that means.
Right.
Like X show or Y show. I don't want just this abstract thing. Like, tell me what you're looking for.
Pod committed, like the SEC and
you
hoops, baby.
obviously have a vision in your head. My vision in my head when I'm trying to build a national championship college basketball team is I need a lead guard.
No, I'm not going to argue with you over. 98% of the time, I take the guy that handles the peel.
So, and you know where I came up with this theory?
But you told me to think of some
I
guys,
did, because there are outliers.
Yeah,
but
there's several.
There's a couple.
Well, I'll give you 3 without even batting.
I know one of them, Anthony Davis.
Correct.
The one from the 90s, I think you're going to tell me Leitner.
Correct.
Now, he did have good guards.
He had a guard.
And he had Grant Hill.
And Danny. Grant Hill, I'm telling you, this isn't Bo Jackson, hot take, overrated. Grant Hill's prowess as a college player that year is extremely revisionist.
I'm going to defer because
my man couldn't shoot outside of 15 feet.
Listen, that's fair.
And Ravi,
what's up?
I'm not talking about Grant Hill. I'm talking about Hurley, and it was still Leitner's team, and Leitner was the dude.
Was that Hurley or was that Wojo?
It's Hurley, man.
What year was Wojo?
Listen, don't mess with me over Duke
I'm asking.
history.
I'm asking.
Leitner's running mate was
when was Wojo there?
Hurley. I don't know. It wasn't Hurley.
Okay. I'm just asking. I told you my firsthand experience with college basketball starts like mid-90s. So this is a little ahead of me.
You're missing the most prolific maybe of all time, even though Leitner was the biggest winner.
The most prolific big?
Yes. He gets all the run. He even gets the moniker of how
Danny Manning?
Correct.
Danny Manning and the Miracles?
Danny and the Miracles.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. We're talking about 3 guys going back to 1988.
I didn't even try.
I mean, we could go through the list. I have the champions up.
I mean, does Gordon – so they had to win?
Had to win it, yeah.
Okay.
Now, listen, but Gordon Hayward also had the ball in his hands a lot.
Well, you didn't give me – so does Janai Broome.
I understand that, but if I have a preference –
and I'm not fighting you over Sears versus Broome.
If I have a preference –
but 99% of the time, I'll take the guard.
That's my point, is in NCAA tournament settings – and the reason I came up with this is because I was trying to figure out, before Creighton broke through and made a Sweet 16, why they struggled so much in the NCAA tournament. And most of the time, their best players were forwards that didn't have the ball in their hands very much, right? You're looking at Corver, you're looking at Dougie, you go back. Like, you had Rodney Buford, who was really good, but the rest of the team wasn't up to the same standard around him.
So I did not know, and that was my neighbor for
Nate
years.
Funk.
That was my guy. Like, softball the whole nine. Like, Buf was my dude. I did not know he was a 2,100-point scorer.
Yeah.
He
was second until last night, right?
Listen, I kind of misremember how good he was.
Oh, yeah. He's –
do you know why?
Why?
I'm going to tell you why. He was so gifted. It never seemed like he maximized.
Oh, it looked like he was, like, gliding?
Yeah, like – I'm telling you.
It looked easy for him.
Buf is probably one of the better athletes I have ever been around. And I'm telling you, I've been around some fellas.
So can I ask this question without it being weird?
Sure.
So with Buford, those guys that everything looks easy even though they're trying hard?
Yeah.
Was he one of those or was he not trying hard?
I don't know, but everything looked easy.
Okay. Because there is a difference, right?
He could throw it. He could pick it. He could swing it.
Yeah.
He could shoot it.
I'll say he's a bucket.
He could catch it. His twins were good. They were good at baseball.
Yeah.
Reagan and Rodney? Oh, yeah.
Because there's guys that
I saw that stat, and now Harstead, that's in my wheelhouse because that's like I go back to I've been a sports nerd my whole life. And I told you, I've told this story. I give credit to my neighbor, a guy by the name of Larry Cobbs. His sons are two of my ridiculously good buddies, Brian and Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And Larry crammed Creighton down my throat. Listen, crammed.
And you still didn't like him until Coach Mack showed up.
That's not true. It's not true. Probably, I saw Coach Altman at the chiropractor.
Okay.
And I was just getting back, so maybe 99, 2000-ish. And we sat together, waiting. And I'm like, I like him.
I could see that.
I like him a lot. And he's super dry. Like, I liked him.
Altman seems like he's in your wheelhouse.
Yep. I left knowing right where I stood. Like, I liked him. But so Harstead, I would have gotten pretty easy. And obviously, Doug was easy. Buford was snuck up on me.
Yeah.
And he was sensational.
I think people forget how prolific he was.
It's
unbelievable.
I wish you could, like, I don't know. He was just fascinating. Even in like when he kept coming back and he was in Sacramento and he was like getting these opportunities, and I was like, well, I know why.
Mm-hmm. Why he's getting the opportunities?
Because like if it clicks and you ever just decided you wanted to click, like you're really good.
Yeah, you just look at him and because he was what 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah,
he's big. He's a big guard.
Yeah,
you know, because that's the thing.
Could use either hand. Like his mid-range game was, man, Buford was sweet. And I think those numbers, he had to have done 2,100 in 3 years, right?
Yeah, he left early, I think.
Right? That was 3 years.
I believe he left early. I'm double checking right now.
Because Ryan will be 6.
5.
5.
He got 4. Buford got 4 with Creighton.
What was his freshman year?
95, 96.
No, I know the year.
Points per game?
Yeah.
14.5.
Okay.
So
he got off to a good start.
14.5, 20, 19, 19.
Yeah, dude was
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And good shooter, especially for the time.
Yeah.
38% from 3 for his career.
I'm telling you.
At the time, that's crazy.
I'm telling you.
High volume, too. He's like 4 attempts a game, 4 or 5 attempts a game.
Yeah.
That's a lot. For mid-90s?
I was like,
that's a lot.
I would not have got, I like doing that. The trivia stuff.
Yeah.
I would not have put him in the top 3.
So I'm going through.
Which is embarrassing considering my affinity for him.
I'm going to go through this list here.
Okay.
Of recent champions.
Yep.
So you got UConn the last 2.
Yeah.
Obviously you had good bigs there, but that was a pretty balanced team in general.
Advantage bigs.
Okay. Kansas 2022.
Wow, that was such a weird
team. That was a weird team. I'm looking here. You had the Ochai Obaji teams. Who else did you have on that team?
Go
Jalen Wilson was on that team. Christian Brown was on that team. DeJuan Harris was on that team. That's guards.
I remember I didn't want Brown to come out early either.
You've got because your bigs.
Okay, I'll give you guards. Then.
That's guards.
I'll give you guards.
That's guards. Baylor in 21. Guards for sure. You've got nothing in 20. Virginia in 19. That's guards.
Yeah.
You got your Kyle Guy. You got your Ty Jerome.
And Hunter.
Yeah, those are guards. Nova. That's guards. Carolina 17.
That's tough. Really good rebounding team. Didn't shoot it particularly well. Let's go push.
Push on that one.
Yeah.
You've got Nova before that. Guards. You've got Duke before that one. So you've got Rodney Hood.
No.
You've got
Hood's the first one that comes to mind.
Well, I'm just looking at the list here. You got Andre Dawkins. Jabari Parker's probably the best player on that team.
Yeah, he was.
Semi Ojale.
Who was the guard that had the tourney of his life?
Who was it? Jones.
Yeah, was it Trey Jones?
Tyus Jones.
Trey Jones.
Quinn Cook. That's probably a push
Yeah.
between Okafor and those guards.
It's not as hard as you. It's not as.
Most of those guys have one of those
I would
dudes,
take
though.
guards.
Most of those guys have one of those dudes.
I still think Broom and Sears is a better discussion than you're giving it, though.
Oh, Broom's great. I'm probably taking Sears. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, Ben McLaughlin coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. And we're joined now by our friend Ben McLaughlin from the Husker Radio Network. What's up, Benny Mac?
Good morning, friends. Happy Thursday to the both of you. Hope your day started swimmingly.
Swimmingly.
Not to be confused with Bernie Mac, which your colleague Matt Coatney said there were some similarities.
Coatney, like he was on in all his glory last week. So we had a couple of Bernie Macs references. So Coke got loose last week.
Well, I have to say, Damon, I don't know that you're the best influence on him because I think you guys play off of each other pretty nicely. The things get away from us in a hurry typically in the commercial breaks of the studio on Saturdays.
So I'm noticing a common thread here in broadcasts that get away from people, and it's the guy to my left.
Downtime.
Yeah.
I
think that's right. You know,
keep me busy.
The best is when I come back from like the bathroom or coming late or something, and I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about. Right now. I'm just gonna keep walking to go find my seat.
Oh, well, after I get the right chair, that's all I need. Then I can settle in.
Yeah.
That's
the biggest difference between you guys. You like a little elevation.
Yes, long as my chair is good, I can function. I'm torn on where to start. I want to start with kind of yesterday, and man, you guys, it's so cool to watch your relationship with Sharpie and the booth, and that's a place we've got to go to to go to work, man. How cool was that?
Yeah, I had kind of heard rumblings that they wanted to do something. I didn't know exactly what and how fast they would do it. So it happened really fast. I didn't have a lot of time to kind of think about it until last night, until after everything had happened, and to see the way not only Greg but his family got to experience that. His two of his daughters were there, and he's got another one that lives in Florida, and they had her on FaceTime. To me, that was just as cool to see their reaction. And then obviously Greg had no idea. The way Troy Dannon and his staff were able to execute that, to keep it a surprise from him. And of course, in typical Greg fashion, not only did he handle it like a pro, but he was slinging zingers at everyone there too. So it was a really cool experience. And as you know, Damon, now that every time we walk in that booth, we're going to see that name plastered above, and he's always going to be with us.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, he has this uncanny ability. Like, there's lots of things I would take from him, but he has this uncanny ability to not be emotional. But I know he is, and he can talk through and deflect like no other. It's so seamless how he can always not make it about him. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I was just about to say it's because he doesn't like the limelight on himself, Like, here's a perfect example. I've got a couple kids at home, and we all know what he's going through. And he finds out my 4-year-old's sick. And he's like, well, how's Kennedy doing? It's like, dude, she has a runny nose. She's going to be fine. Like, how are you doing? Yeah. Like, he always finds a way to put it on somebody else other than himself, whether it be, asking about the well-being of somebody else, or making a funny joke about you, or, talking about the Super Bowl, whatever it is. He's just got that ability to make things light. And I think that's why he's so approachable and why everybody likes him so much.
Yeah, I might have to, just for no offense, because I know you're a diehard, but I may have to just cheer for the Chiefs one more time. Even though I'm telling you, I'm eye rolling and I'm over their greatness and excellence and execution. But for Sharpie, man, I may have to cheer for the Chiefs one more time.
Yeah, it's weird because, I'm borderline psychotic when I watch those games.
Yes, you are.
But it was weird during the AFC Championship. Like, as the game was progressing, he was what I was thinking about. Like, I was like, I just want this so bad for him to get to experience this and, finish this the right way, give him some more joy. And then obviously, for personal interest, I was pleased as well. But for the most part, I kept finding my way back to him. And I think a lot of people that know Greg know he's a big Kansas City sports fan, big Royals fan, big Chiefs fan. So it was pretty cool that you got to experience that last Sunday.
Let me ask you something. You watched these guys forever. Did you ever think you would get to the point where you just expect them to win?
Did I think I would ever get there? No, because of what I experienced on Saturdays. Like, there's been so many inventing ways to lose.
Yeah.
That it kind of offsets a little bit what happens on Sunday. It's amazing how one result always happens on one day and one result always happens on the other. Like they're never mixed and matched.
Because Nebraska is the only team that you historically cheer for that is like that has predominantly been a winner, right? You don't gravitate more towards winning franchises normally, right?
No, I've done my fair share of losing with teams that I like. It was a brutal stretch for the Royals there before the 14, 15 teams kind of took off. Obviously, last year was a nice surprise. And Kansas City, like, contrary to popular belief, and 80% of new Chiefs fans believe, this isn't how it's always been, you know? Like, it wasn't that long ago that I'm sitting in my living room with a Brody Croyle jersey on in tears that they're losing 34-3 to Cleveland. So, yeah, it's to those new Chiefs fans out there, this isn't how it always is, as I always tell my wife. Like, what they're doing right now is not normal.
So I got to ask, were the tears because of the score of the game or because you spent money on a Brody Croyle jersey?
The good news was I think at that time I was like 12.
Okay.
So it was gifted. I feel bad for the poor soul that thought that was a good idea. Like, this is a good purchase, you know? forget like Eric Berry or Brandon Flowers or Derek Johnson. No, we're gonna go Brody Croyle, the pride of Alabama for this one. But
better than Tyler.
As a 12-year-old, you don't really care.
So, who's your favorite? Who's your all-time Chief? You can
Jamal
say
Charles.
I was gonna say you can say no. I was gonna say you can say anybody, but Holmes or Charles. You can't take the Longhorn.
You got to understand, Damon. He was the only good thing going for about 9 years in Kansas City.
Gosh, B.
And they had before Jamal. I mean, like Priest Holmes.
I'll say, are you too young for Priest Holmes?
Larry Johnson, very good. But you got to understand, like when Priest Holmes had the neck injury and he retired, like that was when I first started understanding football, like watching it to not just for the final score. And then Larry Johnson kind of took over, but Jamal was like, with that laundry list of terrible quarterbacks by Kansas City's perspective, he was the only thing going right and just electrifying. And part of it too is like, if you can't beat him, join him, because I know what he did to us in Lake.
Oh, we lose him?
Nope, I think we still got him. You still there, B? There he goes. There you go. Hey, I want to stay right. You're good. You're good. I want to stay with that. If you can't beat them, join them. As I transition to Nebraska baseball, what is it if you always beat them and you still join them? Like, is that kind of what Haligso's thinking?
I hope so.
How cool is that?
Cool. I know he's got some really close friends on the team. He and Jackson Brockett have been tight forever. So I think it's cool for them to finally be on the same team. But the other thing we need to understand is he's coming in at a dire position of need for Nebraska.
Yep. Plug him in.
Like, we need to carry him in a roll of foam. He needs to be in a bubble. Like, nothing needs to happen to him.
And he has battled some injuries historically in his career.
Yeah, it's scary to think about because Josh Caron has been such a workhorse for this team. Like, I don't think people know how taxing it is to catch a college baseball game, but to catch 4 games a week, sometimes 5 games a week, when you're asked to do what you're asked to do offensively, like, this dude's legs, there were days where he could barely get through batting practice because his legs were so sore, and he just found a way through it. And not only that, but performed at the level in which he did. So they really needed somebody back there, and preferably with experience, and I think Haligso fits that to a T.
So, Ben, I know we're kind of all over the map with you here today, but you mentioned Troy Dannon earlier and kind of when their name in the booth for Sharpie and all that. And this is a guy that pulled off a pretty big coup yesterday as well, with seemingly not a soul knowing what was going on. And that seems almost impossible considering you had 2 separate athletic departments involved in this conversation to have John Cook retire and bring over Danny Busboom Kelly. Like, what have you seen from Troy Dannon that, like, would even lead you to believe something like this was possible to pull off?
You know, I think Stuart Scott said it best. Cooler than the other side of the pillow. I mean, this dude is just steady Eddie. He's got a great head on his shoulders.
He's creative, too.
That he trusts. Yes, he's creative. You know, he's always thinking of ways to build the culture and bring everybody together. I mean, highlighted by what you saw with Sharpie yesterday. The idea behind the Husker of the Month. I mean, everything that he's got going over there. He's adopted this place very quickly, which has been awesome. And you're right. Like, for him I mean, yesterday was arguably the biggest news that we've had in Lincoln since the retirement of Tom Osborne. And I don't think that's a stretch.
I don't either,
and
to be honest.
And the fact that he was able to do this in lockstep with Coach Cook, in lockstep with Coach Busboom Kelly, I think it put everybody's worries and fears and panics aside when those tweets were like, 17 minutes apart or something? It was a very short time we were stressing.
Yeah, and he locked up Big Game Hunter and Coach Reyes too. So it's like, I don't think the degree of difficulty had to be at a high level.
Which, by the way, let's not understate that. Like, two of the most elite assistant coaches in college volleyball. And that was like the side note. Like, if there was ever a best case scenario with Coach Cook leaving, yesterday was it.
Yep.
Well, and just I can't get over the fact that none of us heard a peep. Like,
right.
With all of those moving parts, that there was not a whisper.
Yeah. I mean, finishing work yesterday, because obviously I was over at the stadium just a few hours before that, and I go, what? I just saw the AD like 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
And he was making jokes about everybody back to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, he kind of wasn't kidding. Like, all right, guys, this was cool, but I got to go make a couple phone calls down to Kentucky. We'll catch you later.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Let me hop back in, because in a couple weeks, man, you got the Desert Invitational coming, and Nebraska's non-con is going to be a monster. Let me ask you about going from Saturday to Friday and what Mason's going to have to probably go through to give Nebraska a chance to be where they want to be, man. What kind of growth do you think you can get from a guy that is already pretty good with the whole swing and miss thing?
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty cool story. You know, he came in, coaches really liked him from the beginning. Every year we sit down and they tell us about some of the new guys, and they could not stop talking about this kid McConaughey. And they weren't quite sure how he fit with how many arms they had stretched out at the beginning of last year. He ran into just some awful luck in that first weekend against Texas Tech down at Globe Life. But then he really started pitching well. And then, you know, the midweek starts happened. He started dominating his spot in the weekend rotation. And I think the thing that's really going to help him, Damon, to answer your question going into this year, is he had some starts where Nebraska needed him. I mean, let's not forget, he had the ball when Nebraska's season was on the line in Stillwater against a really good hitting team and a place that we could all hit home runs. I mean, it was a tough chance for him, and he had to battle through it. He had to pitch well in the Big Ten tournament to keep Nebraska's stretch going, and he had a career high in strikeouts. So he's steady Eddie. He's a lot like Rob Childress personality-wise, so they get along great. And I think in terms of attitudes and consistency, he's exactly what you want on a Friday.
Yeah, he's so he seems so quiet too. Like, unassuming is kind of a word I would use.
100%. He's quiet, very nice, polite young man, but don't let that quietness, a little bit like Brett Sears, like he's got fire to him, and he's very competitive, and he hates losing. He's one of the ones that you have to pry the ping pong paddle out of his hand in the clubhouse when he loses. Like, that's the type of kid he is, and that's the type of guy you want pitching for you on Friday nights.
How do they find enough at bats for a lineup that pretty much brings everyone back, and you still got 3 or 4 guys you probably would like to find a role for? I mean, guys like Budenbacher coming off really good off seasons. Silva, like you'd like to find a spot for some guys.
That's a really good call, Damon, because it's going to be tough. I think outfield there's going to be a fight for innings, and I think people might be a little bit surprised at the beginning of the year how those innings are distributed. I think right now it's just like, yeah, we've started our scrimmages up for the season. They've been able to get outside, which is always a win.
Yeah.
And who's putting together good at-bats? Like this time last year, Gabe Swanson was not having a very good preseason, and it showed in the first couple weeks. Now, granted, Will Bolt told us he's going to have a little bit of a longer leash because it's Gabe Swanson. But as you know, it wasn't just the glory of the postseason. He was benched. He was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and not
so
too long before that.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be a few situations where there's going to be surprises in the lineup, and it's going to be heavy competition for first base, for DH. I kind of think center field's up for grabs right now, and you wouldn't think that with Riley Silva and his production, but they are in love with Ravi Bolin, and you got a guy coming over, the Summit League Player of the Year, who knocked 25 bombs last year. So there's going to be a fight for innings. There's no question about it.
Ben, you mentioned all of this. This gets started in basically 2 weeks.
I think it's the 14th.
Yeah, down in Arizona. Have you mentally prepared yourself for baseball season yet?
I will say making a bowl game helps tremendously because I just get really bored in the month of December. That's like how long? But yeah, right now it's a little bit of a firestorm. You're never really ready, but the first time you hear that ping of a bat, you're like, okay, I'm good. Like this is where I need to be. It's a great time of the year. I love this time of the year so much. My wife's really going to love it. That opening day is on Valentine's Day this year, which is awesome. So I'm bogeyed the first hole already. But you know, it's part of the deal, and I'm really excited to get back out to the ballpark.
I just want to see if Kennedy has any jokes for you not being at home for. Yeah, I'd watch you guys FaceTime and have her say something pretty slick to you on the phone. Well, Mom said it sure would be. Mom said it'd sure be nice if you were here, Dad.
I put her boot on the wrong foot this morning, and she didn't let me forget about it. So we're off to a flying start this morning.
Hey, real quick, as we're kind of transitioning all over the place, obviously you got the huge schedule that's happening in the heart. You'll be in the heart of baseball, somewhere between Evanston and College Park around spring game time. What would you do? What would you do if you're in Nebraska and you've got to do some sort of spring event where you generate revenues, but you don't necessarily want to do a game either? You treat it like another practice with a few tweaks. What does Benny Mac do?
Yeah, well, man, I wouldn't be making very much money if I had to make this call because I'm not that creative. But I think having some type of scoring system, like I know one year they had kind of the odd scoring system with like catching punts and other little competitions and things like that. Like you have to make it entertaining, but at the same time, like Damon, I think you're walking a fine line with what you want to do in terms of production as a football team. So that's where mine's sharper than mine. I would imagine it's split up somehow, maybe offense, defense, or however it is they want to do it. But you have to do some things that are entertaining for the fans. But the good news is they're at the right athletic department to do something like that. I think, whatever it is that they decide will probably go over well with the fans and also make sure that it's a day that is good for their football program as well.
Benny Mac, can I make a pitch to you here for the spring game?
Tell me.
Adopt the new Pro Bowl games model. Do just a bunch of goofy stuff that the fans will love to see.
Like flag football?
Give me like a skills competition. Give me a dodgeball game. Give me a flag football game. Give me all of it. The fans would eat it up, and you don't really have to worry about the contact and issues of trying to play a real game in spring. Give me the Nebraska Jack Hoffman Memorial Pro Bowl games.
Whatever you need to do to get me to authorize that, you have it. So forge my signature, make the phone call on my behalf. I'm all in on that. I think that'd be awesome.
Hey, who are you taking in the dunk contest tonight? You going back with Jeremiah Charles? You there, B?
Sorry, lost you again.
No, you're okay. Who are you taking in the dunk contest tonight? You going to take Jeremiah Charles again?
Oh my gosh, that thing's going to be electric. He's the reigning champ. I mean, clearly he's been in the lab, right? I mean, he couldn't have known this is a surprise.
So I got a little
I'm sure
birdie
he was
that
in
told
there.
me that Harburg is the guy that is kind of the most dialed to come back with a vengeance.
Ooh,
okay. Is he the most underrated and underappreciated athlete on the team in like the last 10 years?
Yeah.
It's almost like when we heard that Brandon Riley was the fastest guy on the team, and you're like, who? Like this was
I'm sorry, what?
game-winning catch, Brandon Riley. Like Heinrich Harburg is almost alien status. I have to imagine. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he has too.
His frame is spectacular. Like he looks like he was built in a lab.
Yeah, and he plays like it. Like the physicality, the speed, the versatility, and one of the easiest dudes ever to root for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, give me him. I'll take him. Give me him to bring it home.
All right, I'll give you the dark horse. I don't know how serious he'll be because he's silly, but keep an eye on Quinn Clark.
Okay. Okay. What? I feel like you have some intel here.
He's really, really explosive. He has these ridiculously long arms, and he likes to hoop. Like those guys, they have their little pickup teams and stuff. Like, I think Quinn is probably my dark horse. I just don't know how serious he'll be. You know?
Well, maybe once he sees Jamal Charles go off the window between the legs, it might ratchet his intensity up a little bit.
All right, B. You be safe, man. I hope to see you before you get on the road. I owe you a couple ginger ales, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
appreciate it, Benny Mac. That is Ben McLaughlin from the Husker Radio Network. So I was thinking of a guy for a dunk contest.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to participate or not because I don't know who's participating.
I gotta see the.
I didn't look at the list.
Yeah.
But hear me out.
Okay.
You've got length, pretty good height. I think he's got long arms. Bly Hill.
Bly's not going to participate, but you talk about bubble wrap.
Yeah.
I'll put that guy in bubble wrap.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I'm looking at like body types.
I think Emmett Johnson is going.
Okay.
So Emmett,
some of those like smaller guys
look more
like bouncy, like they're explosive.
And Quinn is long.
I was looking for maybe a guy that had a little bit, like Quinn Clark, had a little bit more height to him.
Yeah, Harburg's going to be the Dominic Wilkins
6'4",
with
6'5".
the power.
Yeah.
And maybe, Jeremiah will be the graceful guy.
High flyer,
yeah.
The glider. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, brought to you by our friends at Centris Federal Credit Union. Make sure you get to centrisfcu.org to talk to one of their experts. They've got you covered, whether you just need your regular banking services, checking and savings, if you need a car loan, looking for a mortgage, maybe you're opening a small business, Centris has you covered. Make sure you get to centrisfcu.org, federally insured by NCUA and an equal housing lender. DB, we've had this thing come up a couple times here in regards to the Coach Cook retirement, Coach Busboom Kelly announcement. I think we were a grand total of about 20 minutes apart between the announcements. And I think our chat skews a little younger sometimes. And somebody asked, is this what it was like with the handoff from Osborne to Solich?
Good question, but no.
I don't remember the sequence of events.
No.
What happened?
So I'll give you a couple of similarities, though.
Sure.
I think most people thought both coaches, Coach Osborne and Coach Cook, had more in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there had to be something to the timing.
Okay.
To make what you wanted to have happen with the next hire.
Okay.
But outside of that, I think Coach Solich and his tenure predominantly always being at Nebraska with never any head coaching.
Mm-hmm.
experience at that level is vastly different than DBK.
How about just the announcement itself? Do you remember the timing of how that went?
I was gone.
Yeah, I know that was your Carolina years, so you may not have been.
I don't exactly remember.
Because there's a part of me that for some reason I want to say that, and I might be wrong here, I want to say that Osborne announced his retirement and said that Solich would succeed him in the same press conference.
Did he?
I think so. And then there was kind of this wait, what? Because if I remember right, and I think I am, I think there was this controversy of oh, did the athletic department know he was going to do that? And I think there was a little bit
I remember a little of that.
Of controversy there.
Yeah.
Which, if that happened today, it would be an absolute bleep show, which would be kind of, if it's happening anywhere but Nebraska, kind of fun to watch.
Well, yeah, because the coach in waiting thing has always been kind of weird.
Yes. And so, and I think there was some disagreement with the AD at the time, Byrne, who didn't necessarily
among other things, but yeah,
want to hand off to an internal staff member. Mm-hmm. And that's the timing you were talking about. If it was going to be Solich, it kind of had to be then for Osborne to make that happen. So if I remember, and again, I was 10, 11. So this was,
I was knee-high to a grasshopper.
I'm still knee-high to a grasshopper. I'm still not that tall, DB. But I think Osborne announced Solich in the same press conference as he retired. So timing a little closer on that one, but I think significantly less uniformly agreed on than this process.
And I just, if you were going to draw it up, I don't think you could do it for the core of Nebraska's diehard fan base, right? If you're going to move on from somebody that rolled the dice with getting out of the Coliseum to PBA to, the summer event to, they're going to
taken some swings.
They're going to play at PBA. Yeah. He is. And I mean, you could make the case. I don't think it was hyperbole from BMAC. You could make the case since Osborne. I think this is.
Oh, I don't.
I think this is the biggest athletic announcement.
I don't think it was hyperbole at all.
I think. Well, here, let me give you one.
Mm-hmm.
Is Coach Cook retiring bigger than the hiring of Coach Frost?
That's a good one.
That's the only thing that I could think of.
So here's the only reason I would push back on that is Frost felt like a foregone conclusion. This was a surprise.
No, take that out of it a little bit.
It's hard to. Because the way you receive it's just so much different.
So, if I go, what did B-Mac say? This is probably the biggest announcement from the athletic department.
And in terms
I just kind of look at it like that.
I know, but when I look in terms of size and impact,
the
surprise factor does matter to me there.
Because I think you could make the case.
Frost coming back was a huge deal. I'm not poo-pooing that.
I don't think this is hyperbole, and it's not just because of my affinity for him. But I think you could make the case. Coach Cook is the only one that's on par with Coach Osborne in terms of the impact of the actual growth of the sport that he coached in the state.
True. And
I don't know if I just don't think there's another peer.
There's not. And the other part that you have to consider here is it's not just his success, but the reverence for him. The reverence
that's a good one. Yeah.
The reverence for Cook is far outmatches anything except he's on par with Osborne, I think. And so, we've heard people talk about Coach Cook over the last couple hiring cycles for ADs. That's the reverence for him is oh, maybe John Cook should be the AD.
Yeah.
Right? That's the level of.
I remember I was afraid to joke with, and I think we have a good relationship. I was afraid to joke with Coach Cook. He had Lexi's son in on our first visit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on a game day. So I was coming from underneath the deal, done a sideline deal, and I was going back upstairs, and I was afraid to joke with him.
Because you had this aura about him.
Reverence is a good word.
Yeah. That's the thing that to me...
Reverence is a good word.
That's the thing that to me puts him above everybody else.
And
in terms of magnitude.
And he kind of broke the ice later on when I saw him. He was like, scared to talk to strangers? She's not going to bite. I was like, it's just funny.
Yeah.
You know
it's
what I mean?
Disarming a little bit,
I was like, oh man, you're working, and he kind of always has that expression.
Yeah, he's got a very serious resting
and
face.
so like the TikToks and the singing and the embracing of the boots and the cowboy hat, and to listen to him and him and Lowe go back and forth in like post games and stuff. I don't know if necessarily he saw this coming, and so he's like, hey, this is how I'm going to go out. I think he was who he needed to be for his team's growth this year. Right. I showed you the screenshots of Harper and her reaction last night. And she's, that's clearly something that.
Yeah. That relationship has been really important to her.
That they're going to have to adjust. And listen, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, she's an amazing player.
100%.
So
you need her to be
good. Just his impact across the gamut. I don't think that was. I didn't think of it until B-Max said it, but I agree.
Yeah, I don't think it's hyperbole.
I agree.
Tony brought up kind of an interesting point earlier, and you were talking about it just now with how we'd seen the change in Cook's demeanor, and he goes, he saw the E60 clip about Cook's change in style, and agrees that it was different last year, but he wonders if it wasn't that he knew he was done, but that he was sort of at a place of peace and contentment and didn't know if that style would continue to work moving forward.
I don't know. I mean, I think there was a lot of pressure to excel this year.
Oh, 100%. Especially the way
you're the one, right?
Especially the way after it ended the year before.
Right? Like, I don't know. If it was, let me entertain that TG's right. That would take some serious security and resolve.
And self-awareness.
Knowing that, like, what's at stake.
Yeah. And
because there's a lot of pressure.
Oh,
and I get it, though. Pressure is a total privilege.
It is.
Right? And you embrace that.
But it's still real, and it still has an impact on you, right?
Yeah.
You can acknowledge that, yes, it's a privilege to have this amount of pressure, and it can still have negative consequences. Like, I do wonder, and you brought up a really good point, I do wonder if this lighter version of him is what the players needed to navigate that pressure.
Yeah. With the land fairs and transitioning, and, he could never really get a healthy Krause, and you have Harper. There's a lot of, rotational deals. I think this year it just seemed to be more psychological than anything.
Yeah, maybe he realized, hey, they don't need the hard ass.
This is who I need to be.
Yeah, maybe they don't need the tough Coach Cook. Maybe they need the, like, loving, goofy grandpa Coach Cook. Like that, maybe he just realized that's what the team needed. Like, I think that's on the table.
Yeah, the greatest or the most impactful athletic department announcement since
Coach Osborne.
I agree.
I tend to agree.
I agree, Ben.
So, like, I hope, and I know this is weird, but
when's the last time a Nebraska fan base got their exact Christmas wish list?
In terms of how this played out?
Yeah.
Frost.
I don't think so, because we didn't like the assistants.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. Because with Jalen and Kelly,
it's not even close. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I think they got everything they wanted, if you were going to draw it up.
Yeah, you're probably right. Frost is the closest because they got the guy they wanted, but you're right. The assistants all coming from UCF was a mess.
It's just not a Nebraska thing.
It's not really an anywhere thing, to be honest. Like when's the last time any fan base got exactly what they wanted?
I'll give it, yeah.
Because it's not a lot. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll have our guy Brian Edwards coming up next, talk a little Vegas here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Now, Vegas insider, senior handicapper, and fan of the cold Budweiser bottles, Brian Edwards.
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Brian Edwards.
I don't really love it.
Brian Edwards.
Were they using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
Brian Edwards.
I'm going with the cowgirl.
Here is Brian Edwards.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's time for our Thursday friend, Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider, MajorWager.com. What's going on, B? Oh, we're on mute.
Jinxie Smurf.
We did so good.
No, he's been hit and miss.
We were doing so good.
We can't give him too much credit yet.
You know, we were doing – nope, still nothing, B. Still nothing. Oh, no.
Well, I
this is your favorite part of the week, I think.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I heard something.
One more time, B.
We got nothing.
No,
I don't even
recognize what we're doing.
B looks perplexed.
It's
Shane. Why don't you give him a
all
call,
right? We'll
bud?
give him a buzz. We can't cheat his minutes. It's like you have a calling card.
Yeah, Shane. Why don't we give him a call? That's okay. We've got to give him some time to figure all this out.
I don't even recognize what we're doing.
There's too many people in the club right now.
Oh,
so you're watching Omaha last night blow a 14-point lead.
Yeah, I did.
I'm watching Alabama, Mississippi State in a barn burner in Starkville.
So another good quad box night.
Yeah.
Last night.
Yeah.
So there's been
Creighton Xavier or mid window,
yep,
7.
Texas was in one.
Yeah, Texas Ole Miss was in one.
Who was in my bottom left?
There was another game. You weren't watching UConn DePaul, were you?
No. Although that was close.
Yeah, that was.
I told you, man. DePaul aren't they weird?
That was competitive. Do we have Brian?
I can hear him. B, how you doing, buddy? Good morning.
Gentlemen, I know my DM on the Twitter left a little to be desired this morning, as y'all might have saw. But let's talk Superman. I got a few basketball thoughts.
Okay, let me ask you something real quick. How excited would you be for Makachev and Gaethje?
Makachev, Gaethje.
That's who he says he wants.
Mock said that?
Yeah. Just day before
Really?
Just day before yesterday, maybe.
Okay. I would be now. Obviously Gaethje's got to get through Hooker. I would love to see that. I think it probably goes like Makachev. Habib and Gaethje went, but there's always that power of Gaethje, and he can catch you. And he was having success with the leg kicks on Habib there for a little while now. I'm sure a Habib fan or anybody would say, well, he could have finished it on the ground at any time. But I would be excited for that. But I don't think anybody's messing with Makachev at 155, to be clear. But, I think Gaethje could give him a decent challenge.
What was your level of surprise with how Merab and Nabi Gurmadov turned out? Did you think there would be more in the tank?
I got to be honest, man. I thought Nurmagomedov fight a whole lot, and now Merab fight a lot. And I'm just ashamed of myself for not taking Merab at the huge plus odds. I just didn't have the confidence because I had not seen Nurmagomedov fight much. And if it was summertime, I would have had time to go watch it on YouTube. But when football and basketball are going, I don't have time to go watch it.
I think for 2 rounds you look really, really smart. His tank went from full to empty in mere seconds.
Right.
I mean seconds.
And that's Merab, right? The endless gas tank and the pressure, right?
Like that. How interested would you be in seeing he and O'Malley?
Not at all. Kill him again.
Me neither. It's just a bad style matchup.
I know. I just think Dana is thinking the pay-per-view because O'Malley's such a huge draw. But how about get O'Malley a bounce-back fight that's fun, that he'll win standing up and get a highlight reel and then promote that? But I think Merab just walks right through O'Malley 19 times out of 20.
Yeah, I'd like to see that guy's fitness. Because it's.
Say it again.
I'd like to see how Merab trains, like his fitness. It's incredible.
Yeah, because those Team Longo guys aren't they're not known to gas out, but they're not known to be cardio machines. Or I guess Aljo's kind of a cardio machine.
What do you think happens with Duplessis and Strickland?
Man, I thought the fight was going strictly the head, or he says the headbutt caused the eye cut. I haven't even odds. I'm guessing Duplessis just kind of a short favorite, but not too much. Let's see.
I'm not a big Strickland is just such a hard guy to like. I got to probably get over that.
Right. Yeah, no, I hear that. I hear that for sure. I'm pulling up the odds right now. Okay,
I think Duplessis is 2-1.
Yeah. I'm not going to take Strickland, but I don't know. That it was pretty real quiet that makes me think these odds are a little bit skewed. But I don't know. Strickland, when did he get that cut? Late third or early fourth?
Early fourth. I think it. No, you know what? I think it was the end of the third.
Yeah, because and Duplessis, rallied in those last 2 rounds I forget how the judges scored it, but I'm pretty sure it went his way in the 4th and 5th. I know I love Wei Li next week, Zhang Wei Li next week at -140 to -150.
Over Tatiana Suarez?
Yeah. I mean, Suarez is really good, but I just don't think anybody's beating Wei Li Zhang.
I know you. Did you have to take a double take to see what a small fave she is?
I know. What did you say? I look like I've got the front going. That's what I just did when I saw that number. I was like, what?
I'm not. I don't know if I've ever seen her as that small of a fave.
I don't know. I mean, probably not since Joanna, or I mean, maybe she was heavily favored over Joanna way back when. Here, I pulled it up. She was like -150 against Joanna the second time, and the first time -220, and she was a pick'em with Rose way back when we're going back to.
Yeah, she was just getting started. Yeah, and Namajunas was supposed to be the monster.
Right. Yeah.
So, B, I know you've got some early leanings on Super Bowl. First thing you sent over is a total. What are you thinking on that total on the Super Bowl? Still a little ways out here.
Yeah, I like it over. I think that, by the talk, I think it'll be north of 49. If it's not north of 49 tonight, 49 being a key number on a total as it's a multiple of 7. I think you take the over right now, and I think it'll be higher because, I just think people like to bet the over on the Super Bowl, and the total normally, I mean, I haven't done the research on how often it goes up, but I think it usually goes up. I'd have to research it, but I like it over because, well, first off, 2 years ago, we had a shootout with them that went over with 12 minutes and change left, 38-35 game. Kansas City just had 61 combined against Buffalo. The overs hit in back-to-back for the Eagles, 28-22 against the Rams. That's 50 combined. And then the other day, they obviously put up 55 on their own. And discount the regular season finale for the Eagles when they rested their starters. The overs on a 4-1 run. And Patrick Mahomes in the Chiefs' last 8 games, well, obviously he didn't play the regular season finale, but 8 games he's played in, 13 touchdown passes without an interception. In the postseason, Mahomes, 43-8 TDI&T ratio. I think he's a hard time stopping Saquon. It looks like Jalen's back 100% healthy after the other day. What fantastic. The offense looked awesome. And 20 career postseason games, 43-8 TD ratio for Mahomes. I love the over, and I think you go ahead and bet it now. And, I know you might not want to overdo it with just all bets on the over, but if you want to get aggressive, I mean, both teams' team total in the first half is 10.5. I mean, I think both teams' team totals go over in the first half. And, I mean, every kind of bet you can make on the over team-wise, like their team totals for the game are
24, yeah.
24 and a half for KC. I like all that. I mean, I think we get a similar game as we had 2 years ago in the Super Bowl.
B, let me ask you something real quick before we get to hoops, because we only got about a minute left. But if you like Kansas City, or if you like a team, do you get it now or do you wait? You think it moves towards or away from the Chiefs?
Man, that's a tough question. A good question. I don't think it's going to get to 3, but I think the Chiefs stay favored. But if you like the Chiefs, you might want to go ahead and get it now because I could see it moving to 2, and I could see the money line coming off of -125 and being -135, -140 in the coming days. But, I mean, that's just a guessing game, really.
Gotcha.
I say that, but just because I just think people trust Mahomes. But I think most people agree that Philly probably has the better overall roster. But if Mahomes has got the ball in a one-possession game and he's got it last, we know what time it'll be.
All right, give me the quick hoop plays.
I like UCLA tonight. They were struggling when they were going back and forth to the East Coast. Oregon kind of had a little lull lately. Give me UCLA -4 at home to Oregon. That's all I got on that.
Gotcha, B.
That's our guy, Brian Edwards. We'll talk to you later, B.
Thanks, B.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Michael Bruntz coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Joined now by our friend Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7. What's up, Bruntz?
How you guys doing?
I'm good. How are you spending the morning of the Fighting Illini being in town? What is going on with you currently, Bruntz?
Well, I walked the kid to school.
You walked today, huh?
Yeah, this is perfect weather. You got a little mist. It's misty down in Lincoln today, and gonna go over to the Cook thing here in a few minutes. So
yeah, that's 10 o'clock.
Digital morning.
Hey,
yeah.
Okay, so Benny, we were talking to Ben McLaughlin earlier. He kind of said something, and he just moved right on by. But I think he may be right. He said, I think this is probably the biggest announcement from the athletic department since Coach Osborne retired. That's any coach's hiring. That includes Coach Frost. Like any firing. Do you agree that this is the biggest athletic department announcement?
I mean, I don't know that many things in terms of like pomp will top the Frost introductory press conference. I mean that one was pretty large, but I mean I think he's right from the standpoint of I think any time and this is true at other schools too where this has happened, and it does happen other places. Like when you have a legendary coach, when they decide to step down on their own terms, and pass the baton and kind of, have that succession plan in place. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, I think, it's a very important time in the athletic department for one of their, tentpole programs. I mean, this moment is kind of something that I think everybody kind of talked about for a long time, is like, when he finally decides to hang it up. I mean, how do you keep this rolling? I mean, that's the challenge now. So, I don't think anybody probably had a random Wednesday on their bingo card for when that was going to happen, but it was a big announcement for sure. And, you had about 4 minutes of question about who it was going to be, and then that was over. So it was handled well. But this is a big deal. I mean, I don't know that. I think Ben's on the right track there, but I think the Frost thing. I don't know that that you're ever going to top that with 300 former players, and I mean it was like a pep rally almost. For the actual press conference, which I always find a little strange.
It's crazy too, because I wonder how many of those 300 you could get back on board. You know what I mean? No, it was incredible. But I followed it up because that's the one I threw out. I said, I could see Frost. But when you talk about impact across the state, not only for the growth of the sport and the fact, Bruntz, that somehow they got Reyes and Kelly Hunter and DBK all within the same 20-minute announcement. Nebraska fans don't usually get nice things all wrapped into one. It's I don't think they could have drawn it up any better.
No, and
no downtime of consternation. Like,
I mean, it was a long 20 minutes.
No, 17 really.
Was it even 20?
It was like 17.
I think the tweets were 4:42 and like 5:01.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, you don't often see it. I mean, nowadays where you have somebody leaving and the team gets to hear it from the actual coach and not via group text or report or whatever. And then, over at Louisville, you got, their people finding out at the same time. Like, I mean, that just doesn't happen nowadays. And it's kind of cool that they were able to line things up and the athletic departments were able to make that work. And I think, just with like her contract down there, I think everybody at Louisville was pretty wise to what would happen if this day came. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they probably had their succession plan in place as well when this day came, and it came, and it actually rolled out pretty seamlessly. So that's I guess a credit to both athletic departments. But no, I mean, it's whatever questions you possibly could have about who's coaching what and who's going where and everything else was neatly wrapped up in about 20 minutes there, and everybody could continue with their dinner plans.
Bruntz, is it an exaggeration?
Pass me the bread, please.
Is it an exaggeration to say that this is the most accomplished coach Nebraska has hired in any sport in Danny Busboom Kelly?
Oh.
Like their resume before coming to Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I am too. It's a good one. Any sport?
I think it is.
Sport?
I mean, I'm trying. Maybe my Rolodex isn't deep
didn't
enough.
have the coaching experience.
Bolt didn't at this level.
Solich did not.
Osborne didn't.
No.
Devaney didn't.
Callahan?
I mean,
Callahan had
certainly,
been to a Super Bowl, so that's probably closest.
I mean, I guess it depends how much you weigh going to a Super Bowl and losing versus
or pro to college
and getting fired.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Callahan got fired.
Her record, I mean, is, if you stack them in recent years against, just wins and losses, I mean, it's basically better than John Cook.
I agree. I think I said that.
And you're coming off of a national title match appearance.
She's probably regarded as top 6-7 coaches in the country. Has Nebraska hired another top 6 or 7 coach respective to their sport?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's, you have to view it through the lens of Nebraska volleyball too, right? Like,
they're a monster.
If she wasn't in that, if you didn't have that kind of next person up, I mean, I don't think Nebraska volleyball would have struggled to find somebody from that pool of the top 5. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Granted, you are following John Cook, and there's pressure that comes along with that. I could see where Nebraska is a little bit more of a pressure-packed job than other places, but at the same time, I mean, there's not many places in college volleyball that compare to Nebraska. So,
what about Hoiberg?
I mean, he didn't have the tournament success that DBK has.
At Iowa State?
I mean, not like that deep into the tournament. They had a couple nice runs, I think, but.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, does the thing, not necessarily his fault, but things didn't necessarily end real well in Chicago either. So,
yeah.
I mean, Fred tells the stories about sitting in his bathrobe watching the French
and soap operas.
Yeah. So, a little bit different situation than what Danny Busboom Kelly had going on last year. So, but no, I mean, I think you're an elite program nationally. You spend a lot of money on the sport. You pack your arena. There is no reason why Nebraska should not have hired an elite, top 5 type coach. I mean, you got to view it through the football lens, I guess. I mean, is that like Alabama trying to follow Saban? Like, you should have been able to get somebody that, that definitely moved the needle.
What an embarrassment of riches. No, I'm just thinking, because I got to be honest here. I mean, I was talking about this with Mitch Sherman yesterday because you have Jordan Larson, and she makes her announcement a week ago, and it kind of makes sense now. As accomplished an athlete, as decorated as anyone has ever had, anyone in any sport at Nebraska, right? Mm-hmm. The Remingtons, the Sues, anyone. And Nebraska fans in volleyball are like, oh yeah, like we're fine. Like we got DBK. Like just think of the dynamics of how you have to think of someone where you think, well, this one was never really in consideration, even though she's a phenom in her own right. We have this here, I'm good, and it's almost universal. Like that's like go find go find that comp.
and that's I think that's you got to give credit to John Cook for that, right? Like as good as he has been as a coach, he was also, has for the last 25 years has been growing one hell of an assistant coaching tree.
Yeah, I mean, how many people is Coach Reyes going to take a back seat to?
You're right. And so,
I say back seat, I don't mean that.
when you kind of start looking at like, okay, well, what's next? I think the thing that's impressive to me about, Danny Buston Kelly's resume is, it's not like she walked into a turnkey program at Louisville and just like kept it rolling.
Exactly.
There. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like she
blew that thing
had
up.
have to make tough decisions. You have to kind of do it your way. You find out what works and what doesn't, and you have the success from those decisions. And I think there's a ton of value in that. Like, I kind of having gone through that, and her having gone through that, it feels like, it's not like you're just being anointed the head coach at Nebraska. It was an earned thing where your resume is one that, fits with a place like Nebraska as a young and, very, very talented coach in the sport. So I think it also helps too that she's from here. She understands the pressure that comes with being at Nebraska that's different from everywhere else. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I saw some people say, oh, is that the best hire? I mean, that's a hell of a resume if you can get it. And, I think it was like no brainer to me, doesn't even get close to describing the hire. Like that's the hire. Like you make that hire. Like Troy Dannon said on the radio last night. I mean, he was just hoping he didn't screw it up because that was the hire.
I don't know if he's that all shucksy where he's just moving on to the next thing that busy, or he's crazy like calculated like a fox, but he appears to be pushing a lot of the right buttons given kind of what's on his plate, navigating the new era, the revenue, the field, renovations, the way that this thing went. I quietly, for a guy that doesn't always have his face in front of the microphone, he appears to be pretty good at his job.
Yeah, no, he's quietly goes about it, and I think it's even kind of telling to me that you've probably seen this, Damon, like when you're at a road game pregame or something like that, and he puts his hat on and he's got a jacket on or not wearing a suit or something like that, he blends in really well.
Yep.
Like I turned around and I was like, oh, that's Troy Dannon. Like I didn't even notice he was there.
Yep.
But I mean, I think he's been pretty effective, and you're right. I mean, when you kind of
he's cool on the plane. That's a good call, Bruntz. Like he blends right in. Good call.
But you have to. I mean, when you consider what he's dealing with everything that's just on the football side of things. I mean, that in itself is a full-time job. And then on top of it, you've got volleyball. You've got that they put together a really nice deal for those baseball practice fields, that they just opened this week. I mean, they've done a number of things, I think, that also kind of deserve to go on some kind of tab that, aren't necessarily football related or, and oh, by the way, you've got to figure out how the heck you're going to renovate Memorial Stadium in a way that makes sense and also doesn't anger your fan base. So there's a lot of decisions over the last year that have had to be made, and he hasn't even been here a year yet.
Bruntz, what's your expectation level tonight? And a big one, I think, quietly for Nebraska. They're not going to concede. It's not a foregone conclusion in hoops. This is interesting.
You talking about the dunk contest?
Although I left out one. Quinn Clark was my dark horse, even though knowing his personality, he's kind of silly. I'm hoping he takes it serious because he's very capable. But
the guy you left out's my favorite.
Deshaun McCullough might be the guy, though.
Yeah, I'm eager to see what that looks like with McCullough. No, what do I have expectation-wise for Nebraska basketball tonight against Illinois? I think they're going to have to shake out a lot of cobwebs. And I think Fred has a pretty good handle on what this team is right now. And I thought the comments about the, oh, here we go type attitudes, sneaking in a little bit, you can see it, during this losing streak. I mean, I think there's a mental edge that's not quite there, that has gotten farther away from this team as the losses have piled up. And, as a coach, you just got to find, the buttons to push, I guess, and hope maybe you can lean on your leaders a little bit more. I'm not 100% a body language guy, but I mean, at times in this losing streak, some of the guys have looked like they are almost kind of expecting bad things to happen, and lo and behold, they do. So we'll see if they can find whatever edge they had at the beginning of January, but. If they're going to stop this tailspin, I think it's got to start with you got to win at home, because I think that's been the thing that's been even tougher for this group. Is they never lost at home. That's not something that you do, and to lose the way they have in Lincoln, that's got to be doubly tough for them.
And it's an extremely light number. It's like
what is it? I haven't even seen.
It's like 4.5.
Really?
Yeah, that's you're right. Like.
I need to run down to my local establishment here and see what I can.
We'd recommend War Horse.
Just walk on over to War Horse.
Right there in Lincoln.
I mean, it's mostly fours.
And
Bruntz had opened at 2.5.
Yeah,
that's
wild. I don't know.
That's wild.
Are you getting a benefit of the doubt still at home?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I actually think the number's right.
I don't know. My metrics have it at 4.
Yeah,
like the numbers.
That's exactly what it's at.
The numbers have it at 4, so I don't think it's a home crowd benefit of the doubt thing. I think that's what. I don't know. That's interesting. Bruntz, we got a couple minutes here left with you.
Yeah, I mean, considering you got to go to work.
Yeah,
Jeez,
before you got to do your real job.
I put pants on this one, guys. Come on.
And we're all so proud of you.
You're all grown up.
Yeah. Put my big boy pants on this morning. Bruntz, what's the best case scenario here on out for Nebraska basketball? Like in a realistic sense, obviously best case scenario, they go undefeated the rest of the way out and make the NCAA tournament. But from what we've seen, they start 12-2. Now they're 12-8. Like, what realistically do you think is the best case scenario left on the table for them?
Yeah, the schedule at least lightens a little bit towards the back half of the season. So, I mean, it doesn't feel like everything's lost. But, I mean, the kind of goals now have shifted a bit, right? Like, you need to get the heck off the bubble of the Big Ten tournament thing. Like, that's kind of where you are now, is like, you're not even thinking like top half of the league right now. It's just, how do you get things reversed? Can you get back to 500 somehow by the end of the season in conference play? I mean, is that a realistic goal? I mean, even before the tailspin, I would have probably said, like, just given the way the league is, like, if you're at 500 by the time you get to the end, like, you're doing okay and at least have a shot at doing something later in the season. But that to me is, first get the heck off that line, because, I mean, the closer you get to February and late February, and you're still sitting there, wondering if you're going to make the Big Ten tournament. I mean, I can't even imagine what that pressure is going to be like. So I don't know. I mean, start playing good basketball. I mean, maybe that's that's where we're at right now. Like, play some 3-point, defend the 3-point line. I mean, I think that's kind of, the basics right now are kind of what they need to be focusing on. And maybe they'll be able to kind of turn their fortunes there.
I only got you 4 minutes, so I don't even really get into baseball. And I was going through the gamut with BMAC, but the guy, who would you expect the most from relative to last year? I'll give you a relative off-the-grid guy, a guy that was supposed to really come on, and it took a second, and a guy we're expecting the world from. You ready?
Okay.
McConaughey, Silva, Butenbach. Relative to our current expectations.
Well, for Butenbach, are you expecting the guy that played in 6 games last year, or the guy?
I think it's the guy that's had this offseason coming in from Cape. Like, I think he may be pretty good.
Yeah, he's going to probably be your right fielder, and they got to find him at bats, and that's basically where they are. So, I think of that group, I think the one that's poised to be like, okay, this is something by the end of the year is Butenbach. I mean, he's too athletic. He's, a strong kid. He's a good fielder, and he just puts together good at bats. I mean, last Friday I saw him hit a little bit, and I mean, he's a guy that I think might actually find his way in the lineup a little bit more easily than Frost will, the South Dakota State transfer, just because Butenbach's maybe a little bit better in the field. So I think he's one to watch. But the thing of the three you named, Silva hit 350 in the fall.
Yeah.
He had a 400 on base percentage last year. He hit 256. I mean, if he gets that up to like 280, that's going to be kind of scary.
Is the center field position open, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I would say it's probably close to neck and neck between Silva and Bolin right now, the other JUCO transfer.
Bruntz, appreciate your time. Go to work.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
That's Michael Bruntz.
It's nice when he doesn't put any pressure on you're probably your Friday night starter.
Well,
No, you're exactly right.
I wanted to go back to Nebraska basketball here for a second because he brought up something interesting about trying to get back to 500. That means they have to go 8-3 on the way out.
Oh, I know.
That's I mean, we would have been happy if they went 500 in conference before the skid, right?
And remember when they had lost 5 in a row, the number I picked was 9.
Yeah.
Let alone 500.
So that puts us at 7-4, which feels a little more realistic. But if you can get to 9-11.
I know you looked at that line and you rubbed your eyes.
I did, but then I went and looked at Ken Palm and I was like, well, he's got it at 4 also.
Yeah.
So, and I know he's going off of metrics. So, like, the line seems to be in line with.
How fitting would it be?
What the numbers?
Because they're on my radar for our next segment.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I have to think about it. A couple more minutes here. See if I'm swayed.
Yeah.
But how funny would it be that a team that I've been touting since the offseason comes into town against my alma mater, and I like the alma mater in a get-right game, which would be ridiculous given how they've played.
Yeah, it'd be very silly. It wouldn't make any sense at all. But the metrics, Vegas, appear to think it's going to be closer than I guess common sense would tell you. I mean, common sense would tell you, like, this probably isn't going to go well for Nebraska. But Vegas and the metrics have it pretty close. I do want to get into this next year when we get into bet on it. I kind of want to go through the schedule real quick and just see if that's – because, like, 7-4 sounds realistic or plausible, but is it really? Like, there's –
Well, you have 2 swing games in there.
You have a few swing games.
Well, there's 2 that I can think of in the next 4. And it's this one and it's Washington.
100%. We will get into that a little bit, see if it's even plausible for Nebraska to get themselves back onto that, not just off of the Big Ten tournament bubble, but back onto the NCAA tournament bubble as well. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. 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 Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. It's time for Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook, the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets, whether it's at the casino in Lincoln or here in Omaha. They've got you covered no matter pretty much whatever kind of bets you can think of. Props, parlays, straight bets.
Props, parlays.
I'm a big parlay guy personally.
I don't understand, but to each his own.
I'm a big risk, big reward guy.
To
DB.
each his own.
But go to warhorse.com for more info. So I wanted to go through Nebraska's schedule here because we're talking about this with Bruntz.
Okay.
And what it actually looks like to get to the neighborhood of 500, right? So 12-8 right now, 2-7 in conference. They've got 11 games left. Illinois tonight.
They currently reside in 18th place?
17th.
Okay.
They are in 17th place. They are just ahead of Washington at 1-8. So
and just behind Penn State. Right?
Just behind Penn State, Northwestern, and Minnesota,
who
all
have
at
3
3
wins?
and 7.
Okay.
So they're a half
we,
game.
we needed Rutgers to really do what they did. Shout out Ace Bailey going for 37.
Yeah, so Rutgers is that next team up at 4-6. So Nebraska needs to basically get to the top of this group of 7 lost teams, Penn State, Northwestern, Minnesota, and themselves, to make sure they get in the Big Ten tournament.
Okay.
So the schedule coming up here. Illinois tonight. Win or loss?
Oh, boy. Are we really doing this?
I'm just going to put you on the spot real quick for these.
All right, win.
Okay, so that's 1. Oregon, away.
Oregon will go on the road, give UCLA all they want. Loss.
Okay, that's Washington.
Win.
Got to be a win. Ohio State. This is a coin flip, according to Ken Palm.
That's here too, right?
That is Ohio State is here. This is like a true coin. It's 49%.
Yeah, win.
Okay, that's 3. Maryland, here.
Ooh, they'll get them back. Win.
4. Northwestern on the road.
Oh, tricky. Nebraska's okay with them, though. They got to stop Barry. A lot of jump shooting. I've watched them in all their glory again last night.
You watch a lot of Northwestern.
Win.
That's 5.
Quad box, baby.
Penn State on the road.
No, Ace will get them. I'll take the Nittany Lions.
Michigan home.
That's tricky. 2 bigs. I like Nebraska's matchup in the backcourt. That should be a coin flip.
This is pretty close to a toss-up.
Okay, good. I'm not
Ken
that
Palm's
dumb.
got it at 2 points.
I'll take Nebraska.
That's 6. Then you've got Minnesota at home.
Give me Nebraska.
That's a W. That's Nebraska's best chance for a win the rest of the way out, according to Ken Palm, is that game, Minnesota at home.
I'll take it.
Ohio State on the road.
Buckeyes.
Okay, and Iowa at home.
They'll get that one.
That's their second best winning percentage.
Oh, I have a game 2 of Wiggle Room, too.
So that's 8. That would get them to.
I have 2 games I could play with.
That would get them to your 500 in conference with those 8 wins.
I could see 7.
And we did that real time. You didn't plan that out. You didn't pick 8.
No.
Just off the cuff, you gave me 8 games that they can win. That would get you in the neighborhood. That'd get you back in the NCAA picture.
Yeah.
Because you'd be 10-10 in conference. You'd be 20.
Their metrics are so poor in these last 6 in January.
Yeah.
They're going to have to really do some reversal.
And that gets you in the conversation. You probably need to get a win in the Big Ten tournament at that point because your metrics have dipped so much.
Yeah, because you added a team to the tournament, right?
Yes.
To the format.
But you're at least in the conversation if it plays out.
So what is it, 15?
Yes, 15 teams.
Okay.
So
doable.
a 10-10 would get you.
I don't see 10, though.
Well, I mean, you just gave me 10.
I know.
So call it 9. Call it 9 and 11. Say you missed one.
Yeah.
Okay. So 9 and 11. 7 and 4.
Or you flip-flop a
couple. Yeah. But 7 and 4 seems imminently doable with that schedule.
Yeah.
Right?
Like it wouldn't shock me if you if you lost tonight and you won at Oregon.
Yes.
Yeah. Oregon's pretty weird.
I would.
I don't know. I mean, can Ace ball, but I don't know.
There's some you would flip flop, but you think about hey, I'll give them.
I don't think anything I said is crazy.
I agree. So 7 and 4 seems
this time
imminently doable. That puts you at 9 and 11 in conference, which puts you probably don't get the single bye. Maybe you do. I don't know how the.
That's weird. I don't like
works exactly.
I don't either.
So some people get single buys, some people get double buys.
I understand the double buys clearly.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in the same boat. I'm not making fun.
Yeah.
So that's going to be weird to see how that plays out. But that 9th versus 10th win could be pretty important on whether you get a single buy or a double buy. But could I make the argument that not getting a buy and getting a team that's more beatable early and getting that extra win could actually be beneficial? Because if you've got a pack of teams.
No. So I'm not doing it. I'm not playing this game.
Okay.
I'm not. Do you know why?
Why?
They're not accomplished enough for me to worry about navigating.
Well, I'm not saying they should try.
Paths of least resistance.
I'm not saying they should try.
I'm not doing it.
I'm just saying if it happens to play out that way.
I'm not that fun.
The extra win could be good.
I'm not that fun.
I know that.
Well, they're just not. This isn't a program where I'll play the right path.
There's not enough leeway there. It's just like, hey, you got to win as many games as possible.
No, because they don't really give them the benefit of the doubt yet.
That's fair. I think that's fair. So not impossible to get back in the NCAA tournament conversation with the way the schedule shapes up on the way out. But that being said, in this 6-game losing streak, there's multiple games that we probably would have assumed they would have got.
Yeah.
Right? So that is where this exercise gets tricky. But again, you're looking at an overtime loss at Iowa where they had a 15-point lead. You're looking at a 3-point loss against Rutgers. You're looking at a 3-point loss at Maryland. You're looking at a 5-point loss to USC. Those are all very gettable games.
Yeah.
You just have to flip those a little bit. And you're going to have a lot more games like that the rest of the way out for Nebraska, I think is the point. You're going to have, most of these games on KenPom, your percentages are somewhere between 40 and 60. That means they are right in that coin flip range for Nebraska. You only have a couple outliers in that.
Penn State, I need Penn State to win. No, we're cheering for Ohio State. I need Ohio State to win on the road.
You're going Ohio State?
I don't know what I'm going.
I'm
cheering for Ohio State.
Why is that?
Because you have to start to
bring some teams back.
Yeah, who can you run down?
Okay.
Right? So you're cheering for anybody that's playing against Northwestern, against Minnesota, against Penn State.
Yep. The teams that are closer to you
versus
the teams that are higher up that you're not catching anyway.
And amazingly enough, Penn State is favored tonight.
Ooh.
Not in
2.5?
Not in my
2.5. And then you've got UCLA and Oregon. UCLA a 4.5 point.
I kind of disagree with B a little bit. I like Oregon.
Well, it's because you're discounting the powerful motivating effect of one Mick Cronin.
I don't think that's it.
Hey, have they or have they not won 4 in a row?
They have.
I'm just saying.
And look at the schedule. It's good.
I'm just saying.
It's good.
The fighting Mick Cronin.
I picked them in one of my picks too.
Back on the
The hungry dog gets
I think
the
they
bone.
were getting one.
The hungry dogs.
I liked them against SC.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
The hungry dogs get the bone. They're
I mean, it's a joke.
They're hungry
It's a
dogs
joke.
again.
They start to finish that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. SC's a weird team.
I don't know.
I do think they're well coached.
They're completely delusional about who they are.
I also don't know how I ended up becoming the Mick Cronin defender because I don't even like him that much, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm all over the Coastal. I'm all over the CAA.
All right, so what do we got today? You got 90 seconds. What are your plays? What do we got?
Got
Coastal Athletic Conference.
Yep.
Big CAA guy.
I am actually.
What do we like about the CAA?
We like Drexel.
Drexel, okay.
Yeah, we like Drexel.
They are a 3.5 point dog to Monmouth.
Yeah, they will beat Monmouth.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go back to the well.
All right. Which well is that?
Elon.
Oh, the Fighting Musks.
Hey, but guess who they're playing? A team that I took before the break. and
Hofstra 3.5 point favorite against, Elon 3.5 point favorite against Hofstra.
Give me Elon.
So you got Elon and Drexel.
Yep.
In some barn burning CAA action.
I'm telling you.
Well, I smell that.
It's early, so you get off to a good start, and then you can come back.
A couple of 6 o'clock games.
Yep. For the 7 o'clock and take the Hilltoppers hosting UTEP.
WKU.
Yes.
All right.
Lock it up.
Those are DB's locks. We got
Berean, baby. Doing
Drexel,
some homework.
Elon, and WKU.
Yep.
Those are DB's locks here on Bet On It.
I was this close to giving Nebraska.
I know you were. I know you wanted to. You got burned on it last time.
It fits, though, what I like.
It fits your eye?
Yeah.
That's Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. Make sure you get to Warhorse. See if you can make a little money off of DB's locks. Coming up, we'll wrap up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and reminding you to give my friends over at Midlands Family Urgent Care a call. They can help you out with some medical guided weight loss, whether it's tirzepatide, semaglutide. I know you've seen the commercials. I know you've seen all the ads online. Can feel a little weird just going to some website trying to figure out if they've got your best interest at heart. You can meet with a real person over at Midlands Family Urgent Care. Give them a call, 402-810-9494, and get started today with a consultation. DB.
Yes. I should have went back to the Bill and Margaret.
I'll say you've been living on William and Mary.
Yeah. But
they've been treating you well.
But it's a terrible line.
What is it?
I think it's like 1 or 1.5. And I mean, Campbell's at home, the Fighting Camels.
Yeah, we do love the Camels.
I do. Even post-Mentor.
I like them in baseball.
Why?
They had a series against Tennessee in the regionals a couple of years ago.
I remember that.
Where they were like real feisty.
Yeah, plucky. And my Dodgers.
Yeah, they were very Dodger-like.
Yeah, plucky Dodgers.
In their plucky underdogness.
I think that's a funny word. I'm going to give Schaefer all the credit.
Plucky
in the
is
world.
funny.
Yeah.
It's like comedically.
He
just
said,
the
"Could you
word.
stop acting like there's some plucky underdog story?"
They're practically the Campbell Camels of Major League Baseball. You know, they're just going up against the big bad Yankees that can't afford with their $8 billion franchise to spend like the Dodgers do.
You're mad at Hal over saying that, aren't you?
Yeah, it's because it's really stupid.
Dang, my buddy's got pneumonia. That's what I thought I had.
Oh, really? Yeah, don't get that.
No, I haven't been around him, so I don't think you can't.
I don't know if you can catch it. I think it's viral.
Now that is for a guy that's supposed to be bright. Those concepts
like viral versus bacterial and all that kind of stuff. It's all just Greek.
Although my buddy invited me to come down for the Kansas City Dodgers thing in June.
Yeah.
Hopefully tuberculosis is gone by then.
Yeah, Kansas City needs to chill with the TB.
Dude, what is going on? I didn't even know that was still a thing.
Well, it didn't used to be, but some people made some decisions.
Wow. TB just alive and kicking in Kansas City.
I'm just going to say, when you stop doing preventative measures that have basically eradicated the disease, guess what? It comes back.
Well, I don't know anything about that. I'm just
stay on your smallpox vaccines, kids. That's all I'm saying.
I just hope that it goes away by
polio can come back. Keep taking those vaccines, kids. That's all.
Although he wants me to bring Zoe, the minute we drive past a Ferris wheel or something, Zoe she ain't trying to go watch baseball.
You gotta say, it's gonna be a Worlds of Fun day for you, DB.
Nope. No.
You know what's funny?
I go by myself.
And
all he said, he's like, "Hey, bring Zoe. I'll bring Stella." I was like, "Would I be nice enough just to take my daughter someplace for the weekend?"
Probably not. You know what's funny is I hated Worlds of Fun when I was a kid. Hated it.
Yeah, it's not my jam.
It was not the only thing I wanted to do there is I convinced my mom we would just go camp out at one of the basketball shooting games. I just stay there all day.
Yeah, I'm not that dude.
You know what? I got a North Carolina basketball, a little mini North Carolina basketball.
And it didn't do you a lick of good because you still root for lousy teams.
I'm not a hater.
Outside of Creighton.
I'm not a hater. I like Carolina. I would like them to hire a better coach.
So would I.
I mean, Hubie Davis is not my guy.
So would I.
They also have had a run of guards that I don't really
What did
like.
I tell you I would have made the North Carolina-Pittsburgh game?
What number?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't remember.
I said 7.
Yeah.
They won by 8.
They did.
And you're like, but usually, why are you taking Pitt? If the number's not where you think it is, because it's Pitt and Carolina, and Capel owns it. I don't care what the number was.
And Hubie Davis is bad.
It's not true.
But
did you hear that stat
true.
I told you
He's
the
not
other
good.
day?
Did you
Between it was Wake Forest, Florida.
Yeah.
Kansas, and one more. In the last 4 minutes of those games combined, Carolina was outscored 41-14.
Oh,
yeah, they just don't win. They don't win close games.
Yeah, that's rough. That's not good, man.
You think?
Yeah, I think
they're in trouble.
You guys should work on that.
They're 1-8 again, or 1-7 in Q1 games.
Yeah, I don't know that their resume is gonna hold up.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
It's so funny because you get so mad at me when I
for saying the obvious,
tell the truth about North Carolina, but then you just hammer them. You just sit there and you're like, they're not this and they're not that. And I'm like,
you fly by.
And I go,
I'm invested.
Listen, I like North Carolina.
You can't.
You don't believe me.
You can't just do that.
Why not? I can kind of do whatever I want. That's the nice thing about free will and.
Yeah, well.
I think so.
You got me on a technicality. Technicality.
Well, I can't sit here and casually like North Carolina.
No,
I'm not here for all your fandom rules.
I had to really relax.
You do need to relax.
I got raked over the coals, slapped upside the head sideways on a couple of segments back to back in my former life.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
About what?
I mean, Severe went in on fandom rules.
They're kind of dumb. They are dumb.
You don't even know what they are.
No, but if you're gatekeeping for fandom, that's dumb. I don't care what your specific rules are.
Oh, because I don't like the fact wherever Curry goes, that's the team you cheer for? That's not dumb. It's just principle.
It's not. What's the principle, though? That I should be tied to a franchise that I have no other connection to and never would have liked if Curry didn't get drafted there? What's the principle there?
Oh, did you cheer for Davidson?
Yes, I did.
I doubt it.
I did.
I doubt it.
I cheered for Davidson. That's where I started to like him. And I decided wherever he goes, that's where I'm going to root for.
That's cool.
If Kobe had left the Lakers, I'd have been a fan of wherever Kobe went. I loved Kobe.
See that? You're trying to make me
No,
mad.
I'm not trying to make you mad. When Jordan went to the Wizards, I liked the Wizards. Like, what do you want from me?
Nothing.
My principles are different.
I'd like a little sensibility.
My principles are different than your principles. That doesn't make them any less principled.
I know.
Can I say principle more times in a sentence?
It's pretty good.
Well,
that's pretty good.
I mean, DB's just over here gatekeeping fandom. That's not good for the game.
You're just driving by to act like you're emotionally or care about what Carolina's doing.
Like North Carolina.
And by the way, your boy did say yesterday he's all in as long as Golden State is committed to making moves.
Who?
Golden State. It's Curry.
Oh, I thought. Sorry, you said my guy. I thought you meant somebody was commenting.
He's the guy you fawn over.
Curry is my guy. I was talking to our guy RP about this yesterday because he didn't really understand where I was coming from.
And I think Ryan was absolutely right. I think he should.
No, we actually came to an agreement. He agrees
pull a
with
Florida
me now.
thing and stand his ground.
No, that's okay.
What?
Just I'm not gonna say anything.
Stick to sports.
The joke Tourette's is going so hard right now, but I don't want to make a joke about it because it's serious.
Oh, knock it off! All right.
What did I do?
Nothing.
I actually got RP to come around because he thought I was mad about Curry just this year, about the Golden State this year, and he's like, well, it's kind of late in Curry's career or whatever. But I've been mad for several years. I was like, oh, that makes sense then. So we're cool. RP's on Team Ravi again, as he should be.
Incredible. and
I just don't need you gatekeeping my fandom over here. Why can't I casually like North Carolina?
It's fine. Go ahead.
I'm a big Ed Cota guy.
Knock
No
yourself,
problem at all.
knock
They'll be
yourself
ready.
out.
Big VC.
What?
Antoine Jameson was only okay. He was in terms of how much I liked him. He was really good. But in terms of my affinity for him, yeah, I was much higher.
If you like anybody during the guy people sleep on during that era,
Jawad Williams.
No, is Ed Cota.
I said Ed Cota. That's the first one I said.
Ed Cota is like
Ed Cota was my guy. I liked Ed Cota the best out of that group.
Yeah, he was pretty sweet.
That was my dude. I loved Ed Cota. I had this weird affinity, and I know you don't like Ronald Curry, but I really thought it was fascinating that they had two guys playing basketball and football at the same time in Curry and Peppers. I thought that was kind of cool. I was a really big Rashad McCants guy. Loved Rashad McCants.
Hate Rashad McCants.
Why you hating on Rashad? That was a bucket.
McCants is in like the bottom 6 Carolinians that were great of all time for me.
Higher or lower than Joe Forte?
Lower. Forte's 1.
You hate Joe Forte the most?
The most.
Why?
Because he kind of ruined. He was such a malcontent they couldn't get over the hump. And McCants is just mean-spirited. Like, he constantly went out of his way to sabotage. But I like him better as a podcaster now.
I mean, they did win a national title. He didn't sabotage that much.
That team was elite.
Yeah, they were. They were really, really good.
Elite.
That's fun.
You know how much of a North Carolina fan I am? I wanted Raymond Felton over
Thin Raymond Felton?
Yeah, Skinny Ray.
Yeah.
I liked Skinny Ray more than I liked Chris Paul or Darren Williams. That's how much of a North Carolina homer I was.
Chris Paul got his number retired after a season. He's like in the rafters, and he has like 1 year, 04. How silly is that?
I was a Ray Felton guy. I was like, give me Ray Felton over Darren Williams.
They might
or
have
Chris
put a
Paul.
5 on there, 4-5. It's just this big number hanging in the rafters with 1 year.
They try and put 2 years on it because the one season takes 2 years, right? It's 04-05.
Yeah, Duncan was like 94 to 97. Paul is 04 to 5. Retired.
Well, it's like KD in Texas. They're like, hey, thanks for the 6 months, KD. Appreciate it.
Hey, do you have the Stones to take Nebraska tonight?
No.
Really?
No, I think Illinois is going to win.
God, I kind of like Nebraska.
I think Illinois is going to win now Or I think Illinois is gonna win tonight, but I think Nebraska beats Oregon.
Okay.
I flip-flopped the picks that you made.
Hot Take Central.
That's DB.
Go,
Ravi,
go
Lulla
Nebraska.
Here, both huge North Carolina Tar Heels fans.
No,
here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We aren't.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.